Kemet, Black Egypt. It was a Nile Valley civilization. Black Egypt. It wasn't no Mediterranean culture. Like and subscribe. You gon' get tormented for 4 minutes if it's war. When it just said Jessaru got a false door in it. The Nubian flow, that's before Kemet. My Sakim T got rubies and gold, and it's fit for a Kushite king. But what it look like, the green Sahara ring bearer, bring terror to your satellite kingdom, so they do not bother me. Scarification look like wavy line pottery. Kush with the black top pots, a rap top notch, and I could kick it till your laptop stops. I'm like Tahaka, Shabaka, or Pianki, the author's a father. Any cocky, I came down and out through the lands of Kush, living a pre-dynastic pharaoh way and marrow way. Kerma, Khartoum, or Simna by the 5th cataract. Now I put the 5th wheel on the Cadillac. So much ride, a white man couldn't battle that though. They had to paddle back. Black Egypt. Black Egypt. Black Egypt. Gotta look and see where the Nile started. Black Egypt. And how it was easier to go downstream than upstream. And which way the river flowed. Don't look at the color, look at the culture. Black Egypt. What you know about Dynasty 00? Roll through with Shimsu, Heru on the standard. Ta-Nehisi, Sudanese G's. Try to test me, I'm an archer from Taseti. The squad ready, so I'm stepping in with the extra thin leopard skin. A tail on the apron with my crown on. You can crack jokes, but I ain't the one to clown on. Hey yo, Egypt was black, and that's a fact. All you little suckers need to step on back. They tried to throw us off, but we kept on track. We started doing research, but you slept on that. And with Kemet, it don't matter what the name means. If it's a black culture, then that's the same thing. Race science is a lame thing. Ever since Nubian times, I let the chain swing. How the first known of Egypt was Taseti, but Taseti was Taseti already. Yep, it meant the land of the bow, and when Egyptians needed archers, this is where they would go to recruit them. I got arrows and I shoot them. Who them fake pharaohs? I uproot them and use Black Egypt. 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 Yo, what up, y'all? Hopefully y'all can hear me out there. I'm trying to get this popping. You know what I'm saying? Good morning. What's up? Y'all can hear me out there? Let me know. It's the Smash Rockwell Show. Up early doing my thing. Let me say what's up to the chat. Thanks for tapping in. Man, dude's so puzzled. I'm talking about this Metatron guy. But I'm about to look at some of his videos and hopefully I can share some information. If you've seen my videos before, you've probably seen a lot of the stuff I'm about to share before. But I want to watch this video, and which is his response to, he didn't even say the person's name, his response to an Afrocentrist. But he starts out the video by being like, oh, he's so happy and jolly. He's going to entertain this one guy because he's such a somebody. He's such a debater that he's going to entertain this one guy. I'm having a hard time with the image on the screen. So he definitely not going to entertain me because I'm going to keep it all the way real. It's hard to look at family, let alone take him seriously. And I'm not like being judgmental. I'm coming from the hygiene standpoint. All that white dust. Last time I looked at the video, was so much crud on the microphone that I just was like, I'm not going to take nobody who don't even take their personal hygiene seriously. But, and then I was like, are those books? And as I look behind there, that don't appear. I was like, are these books? And I'm still looking like, are these books? Then I see these little labels on top over here that let me know, hold on, these is like DVDs or something. Nevertheless, one of the things I noticed was when he started refuting dude, you're not going to see one source in this video. Not presented by him anyway. This is like this new YouTube, I'm a YouTube scholar stuff. He's about to refute, well, what I normally call, you know, let's just say he's going to use his own rhetoric and intuition and his limited knowledge of the Egyptian language and culture. No sources. He's not going to use no sources to make his argument. And then he do what I often see people who try to debate against me. He make this mistake of, so sometimes when you're debating people, don't address every point. Only address the points that are relevant to the subject matter. If you feel ad hominems in debate, this is just wise thinking. If you feel ad hominems are being thrown at you that are unqualified ad hominems, don't waste the people's time refuting those ad hominems. But I ain't gonna even go on too far. We're just gonna watch and react, and we're gonna show y'all the facts, and we're gonna see, you know, it ain't gonna be nothing about this, because this is how we get it in. Early morning, Magi archers, arrows up. Let's watch this video and see what's going on.
This is the Metatron speaking, and for today's intro, I only have a sentence for you. Brace for impact.
Alright, I ain't even trying to do all that.
Your trust is not misplaced. A short time after its publication, the channel Quelimika, a channel entirely dedicated to Afrocentricity.
So yeah, he knows his name, Quelimika. He knows the channel name. But his video is titled Response to an Afrocentrist. I just want to note that, but we're going to go in on that after a while.
Responded with a debunking video. There are several factors that influence whether I decide to enter a debate publicly or not. Now, he qualified because he brings forth some decent points, he's clearly educated, and he doesn't call me a racist, so...
He's qualified because he brings forth some good points. He's educated, and he doesn't call you a racist. Let's analyze that thought right there. Because although he might not call you a racist, and I wouldn't call you racist, I haven't seen any reason to call you a racist. So that right there was just you being too sensitive to the fact that you know you treading on some type of a water. But one thing that you and a racist do have in common is that you can't call them a racist. You should trip off that for a minute. Not saying nothing, I'm just saying you should work around that to where a person calling you a racist shouldn't be something to stop a discourse. Indeed, if you are not one. But he didn't call you a racist, so you're willing to qualify the discourse. I just wanted you to know that the thing that you and racists have in common is that neither of you can be called a racist. As a matter of fact, no one can be called a racist. So let's just trip off that.
So, Quelimika, I commend you for that. With that being said, he does accuse me of this.
We're going to expose the lack of rigor and intellectual integrity in the research of the Metatron's video on ancient Egypt. So stop misleading people and do more research, please. I doubt that he did proper research for his video. Joke's on you, man. Joke's on you, Metatron.
Which I don't take lightly. At the the end of the day, a public debate can be a great opportunity for systematic reflection, which is always welcome, and it can also
So this is what I keep saying. Stop fronting. Unless I don't know your debate history, show us your debates.
be mutually constitutive. With that being said, this conversation will happen based on these parameters. Any point of agreement will...
So now he laying out. See, this authoritarian. You talking about you're addressing the Afrocentrist. So definitely you can dictate all of the rules. You're not a racist, but in order to discourse with this guy, he can't call you a racist, and then he must allow you to dictate all of the rules of the discourse in order for that to happen.
have to be ontological, factual, and documented.
Now, nothing you showed in this video, everybody can watch this. This is the craziest trip that I'm tripping on. Nothing I seen in his video is qualified by his own standard.
Of the Metatron's video on ancient Egypt
Hold
to stop
on.
misleading people and intellectual.
I skipped to that
At
part.
the end of the day, it can also be mutually constitutive. With that being said, this conversation will happen based on these parameters.
The only source I seen in this video, and that I'm just recalling up from memory, is when he was addressing the use of a Greek term in the Iliad or the Odyssey or some other Greek work, some other Homeric work.
Any point of agreement
When making your case about Egypt, you fumbled and bumbled all over the Egyptian languages. It's going to be funny when people who watch my channel see this, because they're going to be laughing like, for real?
will have to be ontological, factual, and documented. I would like to begin by saying that this is not a direct attack to him.
And this ain't a direct attack to you.
However, when I do enter a debate, I fully enter a debate and I take it very seriously.
So what debates? Show us the debates you entered. I think you're just talking about YouTube back and forth. If I'm wrong, I want to see your debates, because looking at a person's YouTube videos ain't how you research a person's body of work for a debate. But that's what he said he did.
So I didn't just watch his video response. I watched and analyzed every single video on his entire channel with my full team.
Ooh, so let's get that lie straight. Let's get this lie straight. You watched every video on his channel with your full team. See, this is this grandiose hot YouTube hyperbole that y'all be falling for. Let's take that back. This fake stuff, look.
To him. However, when I do enter a debate, I fully enter a debate and I take it very seriously.
So show us receipts on a debate that you entered fully.
So I didn't just watch his video response. I watched and analyzed every single video on his entire channel with my full team.
That is not how I prepare for a debate. With his full team, including who?
Including 2 linguists, 1 archaeologist, 1 Egyptologist, a published historian, an anthropologist, PhD. I've also identified...
Okay, so I want to know their names, because they got you on YouTube leaking, tripping, looking bad out here to people who know the information.
several rhetorical devices that he uses on his video.
So y'all be falling for this stuff? Because what privilege does he have to make you think he could say all that and you gonna believe him? But if I say it, y'all think I'm lying. And he looked at this with his full team. His full team sat down and watched somebody's YouTube videos so that he could form this response.
video response to me in order to be more persuasive. These do not constitute honest discourse. Hence, every time he uses one, I will point it out to my full team, including 2 linguists, 1 archaeologist, 1 Egyptologist, a published historian.
So I'm going to blame your 2 linguists and the Egyptologist for the errors you make in this video that I'm about to point out. You make so many errors in this video when it comes to the linguistics that I know you can't be talking to nobody qualified.
Historian and anthropologist PhD. I've also identified several rhetorical devices that he uses on his video response to me in order to be more persuasive. These do not constitute honest discourse. Hence,
see, cut that out. So now you about to sit through 15% of the video and try to talk about things he talked about that don't got nothing to do with the subject matter, so that you can say it don't constitute honest discourse. How could I could argue that your title does not constitute honest discourse. My response to an Afrocentrist on Black Egyptians. Does that title, let me ask any of you in the chat, anyone who watches this video in the future, does that title make you think that you're going to get anything but a one-sided point of view? So we could take your title and charge you with what you're charging the brother with.
Several rhetorical devices that he uses on his video response to me in order to...
Rhetorical devices? Then when he you're using rhetorical devices right now, by the way, but then when he tries to point out these rhetorical devices, he falls short. This is why I don't be liking this level of information. When I'm looking at what's behind you, pull out one of them things and show us what it do. I swear to God, I've never seen books that's all the same shape. You see, you know the shapes, like that's not a collection to the level. Man, them video games and little kid stuff behind you, bro. And these little tabs over here give it away, man. Y'all seen books with this metal tab on the top. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that most scholars are sitting in front of where they got the information from.
To be more persuasive. These...
And I very much well know that if you come back trying to refute, he said these wasn't books. There you go with the nonsense.
Do not constitute honest discourse.
But I have never seen no tabs like these on scholarly works.
Hence, every time he uses one, I will point it out and call it out. Within his own...
I will call it out. I will call it out. What does this finger mean? In the Black community, this means let me out of church early. You gonna sneak past the pastor? You put up one finger to get out of church early. To you, I want to know, what does that mean?
Hence, every time he uses one,
so call it out
and call it out.
Thank you. That's like
he has people who are interested in historical truth. I have no quarrel with them.
No, I'm not. Don't think I'm about to. Look, when I got the homework and I'm easily gonna win, I ain't gotta conform to the I don't even want to discourse with dude. He don't know the information. I'm about to prove it. So we having this discourse in African American vernacular English. You're gonna succumb to that.
Whatsoever, but he also has people who are in utter rebellion against external factual reality and have attacked me personally.
So he got people that's in utter rebellion against factual, whatever type of factual reality. This isn't a rhetorical device that you're using to discredit his followers. Then you put up people with a black fist up.
Mostly based on me having white skin, as evidenced by the comments section of my original video.
Hold on. So the comment section of your video is used to discredit his followers? Wow. How easy do this stuff be when you stop to look at how lame Cats is? He using the comments on his video to discredit another person's YouTube page, saying that the only people who must have refuted him on his page had to have been the other people's followers.
Let's listen. We gotta listen close.
He has people who are interested in historical truth. I have no quarrel with them whatsoever. But he also has people who are in utter rebellion against external factual reality and have attacked me personally, mostly based on me having white skin, as evidenced by the comments section of my original video.
Hold on, and then he edited that. See, I be catching you, bro. I'm in the audio. Why'd you edit it? Why did you edit up my original video? Is you edited it because of exactly what I'm pointing out. Before you said that comment section came from his video, but you caught your own self lying and you came back and put in the edit. Now everybody listen to the edit.
And have attacked me personally, mostly based on me having white skin, as evidenced by the comments section of my original video.
You heard it? Comment section, then he punched of my original video. Let's go back. I do this every day.
Evidenced by the comments section of my original video.
See? So you taking your video, your original video, the comments of your original video, which happened before his response. How could you use, I wish I was a lawyer. I would be winning all my cases. How could you use the evidence from the comments on your original video to discredit a person you got into a debate with after he responded to your original video? And those slanders wasn't on his page, they're on yours. And this YouTube is open to the whole wide world. How you know I didn't put some of that slander up? See? So you just in your own little fantasy world.
Regardless of all the attacks that I've received on my original video due to his response, I have not disabled the comment section.
Oh, okay. So you received attacks on your video that say that Egyptians wasn't black due to his response, not due to your ideology. This that Karen. You almost on some Karen right now.
Because freedom of speech. But these are clear attempts at manipulation meant to shut down valid criticism or opposing views.
And you see how far we got into the video when he ain't even talking about the facts yet? So I got to talk about not the facts. That's why I will skip all of this. I just skipped all of this because it's just like, this is when it get weak.
This is clearly out of his control, so I encourage my subscribers to not retaliate to that.
And tell your subscribers to come over here and to retaliate. Retaliation is good. Stop being fake. If anybody come and leave a comment on your page, the algorithm goes up. Now, if you are actually endearing yourself to comments that you get through your chat and stuff, then you living in a fake reality. The majority of the people who telling you that you're correct is unstudied because they telling you you're right. So I'm gonna show you how wrong you are once you finally start trying to get to some information.
Skin tone does not matter. Let's attack arguments only.
Oh, here we go with this old fake liberal stuff. Skin tone don't matter. What are you talking about? Skin tone matters a lot. As we wouldn't have different skin tones. Stop with the fake. That's that fake liberal BS to make people feel like you own it like that. Ain't, man, trust me.
Boy,
ain't nothing gonna be politically correct in this response. Only thing you gonna get is right information and facts. I ain't trying to conform.
Am I in full assault mode today?
Now, a lot of this stuff is just worth skipping all the way past. A quick search on Wiki. Oh my God. Cleopatra, see, you started off. Let me show you how, if this was a debate, you get the brakes beat off. So you started with lack of intellectual rigor and honesty, but I'm going to let the people know you're not saying he has a lack of intellectual rigor and honesty. You're saying you're defending against his claims, his polemic against you. Now, you also said the video length double standard. This is really when it get weak. Why would you even go here? Just leave those things out of a video. Cleopatra's point fiasco. So obviously you don't play poker or something, because you put the Cleopatra card out way too early and it's just weak. Anyone who really argues the Africanity of the Egyptians don't introduce Cleopatra into the argument. Has nothing to do with it. A quick search on Wiki, the Greeks said they were black. So let's start at about the Greeks said they were black. If y'all want to see any of this other stuff, whatever. And then let's see how he fumbled and bumbled this Kemet, true name of Egypt, and the tan argument, and only black people can live in Egypt. Like, whoever said that? Nubians look? Oh my, oh my. We're about to have some fun, y'all. Oh my God. I can't even.
This is what we are disagreeing about. My point. Ancient Egypt was a multicultural and multi-ethnic civilization due to its geolocation connecting the Middle East, Africa, Asia and Europe. A strategic location on the crossroad of continents, flourishing around the Nile River, which was a cultural conduit of civilization. Therefore, there is diversity on the skin of the Egyptians. Throughout time and location, the ethnic percentages will vary depending on era and region. According
Now, for what he just said, first of all, that was like a chat GTP type of trying to be politically correct answer, right? But notice this. Throughout his discourse or his rebuttal, he lays out this premise of what his argument is, but then he hops to form his argument. He hops into the social construct of black or white, or even to form his rebuttal. He's not acknowledging these erroneous social constructs, that's these anachronisms that we talk about every day when we deal with it. He ain't acknowledging none of those. He's just using them to his advantage, and we're going to see how he does it in his refutation.
there is diversity on the skin of the Egyptians. Throughout time and location, the ethnic percentages will vary depending on era and region. According to the results of my research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had an olive skin, with a
So according to your research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had an olive skin.
my research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had.
Don't listen to people who say according to my research. Source up or shut up. Where to say that at? What type of research you did? Is it the iconography? Was you looking in the temples and tombs and you seen majority olive? Because the depictions they left of themselves are not olive. Actually, the majority, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to give scholastic sources, because I don't know why you keep talking about stuff and not providing one source in your video. The majority of the images we see representing the ancient Egyptian is what they call a reddish brown color, not traditionally representative of what we know in the color scheme as olive.
Had an olive skin, with a lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of Egypt, and
So now it's time to start teaching, because the way that you try to discredit that, like we in America or something,
areas of Egypt.
this right here, you don't even know nothing.
Lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of Egypt.
So right there, he just said a lower percentage of black individuals, but let's give him credit to say that he's simply talking about physical appearance, because he said that there will be This makes sense to y'all? What will stop the dark-skinned people from going up a few yards? But we're going to stop here and this is where we'll go into, we'll start to show you what he fails to do. And I'm just going to go to a gnome map here so we can keep this in the perspective. You see, when people say the southern parts of Egypt, it can't be belittled like they're talking about the dirty South in America. All of the foundational elements of what we know as Egyptian culture come out of the southern parts of Egypt. As a matter of fact, it's Maria Gatto. See, this is what you don't do. You say, my research says, I'm going to tell you the scholar's name. As a matter of fact, it's Maria Gatto, who says that anything culturally that we get coming from the East, from the Mediterranean areas, are accessories on the outfit of the ancient Egyptians, paraphrased correctly. Now you need to go look that work up, or that scholar up, Maria Gatto. Because if you ain't got no source material, if you ain't put not one scholar on the screen, why people think you somebody? Because you got some views? Because your video went viral? Stop. Cut it out. You see how much nonsense videos go viral? So when you talk about the South, only in the South, the most popular, see, this is what y'all don't know. So I'm going to give y'all another sort. I'm going to just give it off the top of the head. I'm going to give y'all a fact. The reason why I know Cleopatra probably wasn't black is because she didn't have no hookup in the South of Egypt. Name one king who got in the peril, who went any place but to Thebes. Name one king who had an official coronation that did not happen in Thebes. But he want to act like, see, since people don't know, that's the most important area in Egypt. But he about to try to go
on era and region. According to the results of my research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had an olive skin with a...
What? Okay, so your research got results. So that means your research has been concluded. Man, you a fraud. I'm going to go all the way to say it. And if that's an ad hominem, so be it. I ain't really looking for no discourse. I want the people to be able to find a straight source to know that you fugazi out here.
My research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had an olive skin with a lower percentage of...
The results of your research, what about all your other 5 people that you lied about?
Lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of...
So they're going to have a lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas? What you thought it was, apartheid or something?
Egypt, and some white settlers and white ruling
White settlers?
elite during the later periods.
Okay, but they didn't consider themselves white, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Unless you're going all the way from what we talking about, foundational elements, to some Romans, because Greeks never considered themselves white. As a matter of fact, Dr. Rebecca Futo Kennedy states whiteness wasn't a thing. Blackness was to the Greeks because it represented masculinity, but no one wanted to be seen as white. So what are you talking about? Like, where's you getting your facts from? I'm saying my scholars. Start saying where you getting the information from.
some white settlers and white ruling elite during the later periods. The ancient Egyptians were a multi-ethnic African civilization, and their ethnicity was inextricably tied to their geographic location.
Let's stop about that. Because that, again, is that you think you could get past someone who be doing this research. Look, he trying to do magic on y'all. That's some Merlin the Magician shit. Look at this. You think that politically correct answer could get past someone who's been actually doing this research? So I ask you simple questions. Before it becomes this melting ground, this crossroads, or what have you, what was it? And I'll give you another scholar. Shamaka Kieta, Soy Kieta says, look this up, that there was never a time when these people migrating, immigrants, immigrating into Egypt came to a barren, unculturalized location. They never moseyed into a empty city or country, polity, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? It was always culture there, people there. And the question was, who were those people? Who are those people? Let's go back.
Black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of Egypt.
So you see how he tried to do that like the South in America, but let's go back to the map. Mostly in the southern areas again, especially during all the foundational periods. Every king came to Thebes to be coronated as he wasn't a real king. Thebes is the fourth nome, which they say sits traditionally over what we know as Egyptian Nubia. But he don't have no understanding of that. He got that like, I really ain't read the books and I got into an argument, so now I'm about to read them. Swag.
Egypt, and some white settlers and white ruling elite during the later periods. The ancient Egyptians were a multi-ethnic African civilization.
Bruh, your whole discourse, like you can't even tell how you is. White ruling elite. Like you gotta just look at the nature. You attacking the Afrocentrists, but you don't know just how Eurocentric you are. The white ruling elite, first of all, they wasn't white unless you're trying to talk about some Romans. The Greeks never considered themselves white, right? And then this elite thing coming from them being emperors, an emperor and being imperial, that's being elite. There you go. There you go with that thought train. You can't get yourself up out of that. Think about it.
My research, the majority of ancient
They wasn't elites. They had to go beg the common Egyptians to read the walls to tell them the history of the world. Particularly the Ptolemies going to Manetho. But they gonna be elite, they're gonna be great, they're gonna be everything because you're a Eurocentrist. And everything you state is gonna be seen from the perspective of the Eurocentrist.
Egyptians would have had an olive skin, with a lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of Egypt. And
so that claim right there is so pseudo. I mean, actually, I'm gonna give y'all something that's called the Pangrave culture. Okay, they attribute it falsely to what was been known as the Nubians, right? Pangrave. Let me show y'all what Pangrave culture is found. So I'm just gonna let Google do the stuff. This dude don't know nothing. So we're gonna let Google do the work. and see what I'm gonna say pan. See, it's something about YouTube. People trying to lay out the parameters like, I'll talk to you if, man, don't nobody care. People just gonna look at a refutation. They don't care. What your man, please. Oh, this is so funny. So why are they calling these Nubian cultures? Okay, well, let's look at where these cultures were found. Now, this is where they initially say that Pangrave culture came up out of the land of Madjai. Now, what we want to do is find a map on Pangrave burials. All right, it's the C group. So go to C group culture. We're gonna let Google do everything. This is the Oriental Institute, by the way. I think they changed their name, but we're gonna put this up here. C group culture. I want to look at images real quick. I want to find this map, C group culture map. I think it was at the Oriental Institute, but I could find it probably just by looking through the images a lot quicker. Because they had this one map that showed you where all the burials are. Well, in order not to just even stretch out the video, you can look up C group Pangrave culture, Pangrave, and find out that Pangraves is found all up in Lower Egypt. But he talking about, as a matter of fact, let me show you something. Where'd it go? Mai Hepri. Let me see. Mai Hepri, right here, buried in the Valley of the Kings. Y'all see that brother right there? Damn near drew his face as dark as his afro. Buried in the Valley of the Kings. Mai Hepri, telling us a lower contingency of black people living in the South is crazy weird. But we're going to address how you became to think that that was right knowledge. I'm going to show the people how you came to think that that was right knowledge. Because one thing that we need to just like, and I'm telling you the scholars to go look up. Soy Kieta said that it's intellectually dishonest to even address the subject of ancient Egyptian culture and civilization without acknowledging the racism that has perversed the study, or, has just been a part of the study since day one. If you ain't willing to acknowledge that, first of all, let's backtrack a little bit. That all of the earlier works was Europeans trying to say they was the Egyptians. They seem to have lost that argument, subsided, lost some of the racist intent. Some of the racist intent behind it has gone away because we're not living in the time period that Egyptology was formed. It was just way more racist. But the work that they had to turn in them periods couldn't say it was nothing to do with no black people. Then we had African-centered scholars, African scholars, to come out and speak on the matter, who gave a whole nother perspective. I'm still looking at dude in freeze frame. Hold on, I gotta, like I'm tripping.
Some white settlers and white ruling elite during the later periods. The ancient Egyptians were a multi-ethnic African civilization, and their ethnicity was inextricably...
So if you really want to talk about it, and you don't, because we'll wait till you get that in that video, but that ancient Egyptian stuff is a farce. And we'll talk about it.
tied to their geographic location. Your point. Ancient Egypt was originally founded by one...
Because you're taking a culture from 3,000 years. So which one of them out of the 3,000 years is the ancient ones? See? That's why I said that ancient Egyptian stuff is a farce. Feel me? If you analyze a culture that took 3,000 years, we're hardly ever talking about, at least coming from an African-centered perspective, you're hardly ever talking about things that happened about 1 BC, 10 BC as ancient times, so to speak. I know people and scholars who make a distinction between biblical times and ancient times. Because biblical times on the scale of the world wasn't even ancient. It's all, you get back older if you analyze some of the pseudo-biblical stories that act like they're true, then you could go back a little bit further. But anything that you find that manifests history, what you gonna be? 800 BC? Okay, you can say that's ancient, but that was not ancient to people who lived 2,100 years, 2,200 years before that. So when I say this ancient Egyptians thing is a farce too, because out of the 3,000 years we analyzing, are all of them the ancient Egyptians? No, right? You'll clearly say the Ptolemies and the Romans wasn't ancient Egyptians, but that's included in that 3,000 years. So to be fair to the argument, the ancient Egyptians would be the oldest contingency. We would really say the people of the Old Kingdom. To have a more detailed argument. And the people of the Old Kingdom didn't know nothing about no Egypt, didn't know, they wasn't even tripping. Actually, all of this trade, the commodities that formed the trade that made Egypt such a plentiful place was just being amassed in the Old Kingdom. You can't just have trade. That's just like having a store without putting no products that already have been branded in the store. I know y'all probably hear a heck of background. Let's listen to this stuff.
Indigenous Black African culture, namely the Nakta culture from down South Africa, and the other Eurasian.
So, first of all, I don't know what he's doing. I really think he don't know what he's talking about. Listen to what he just said.
Tied to the geographic location. Your point. Ancient Egypt was originally founded by one indigenous Black African culture, namely the Nakta culture.
See, he's saying that fast and he don't know what he's talking about. Namely the what culture? I know the other dude page. The other dude deal with facts. He's trying to say Nakata right now. But y'all tell me if I'm off, or if I'm right. Just on this one point. Is he trying to say Nakata or not? I'm assuming he is.
Ethnic African civilization, and their ethnicity was inextricably tied to the geographic location. Your point. Ancient Egypt was originally founded by one indigenous Black African culture, namely the Nakta culture from down south.
Namely the Nakata. Nakata. 3 syllables. Nakata. He just saying it. Bruh, this dude is not even ready to have an argument with the... If you watch my page, you can beat him in the discourse. I'm telling you, you have all the instruments. You just have to see how I'm analyzing his mistakes. Look at this.
African history and culture.
First of all, listen to how wide and open and plentiful his standpoint is, and then listen to how limited, restricted, and retentive he makes the other person's standpoint be. Just listen. Listen to the verbiage.
Were predominantly black.
Listen.
Ancient Egyptians percentages will vary depending on era and region. According to
So now I'm gonna teach also about you don't have to be a racist. The brain has been beyond racism. I would never say any of this has to do with racism. What we need to start discussing is implicit bias. Because when you start discussing your bias, you wrote a whole polemic about how you're not biased. But go back and write one about how you're not implicitly biased. Even by the nature of the title of the video. My response to an Afrocentrist. First of all, you're demeaning him. He has a name, and you called him by his name in this video.
To the results of my research, the majority of ancient Egyptians would have had an olive skin, with a lower percentage of black individuals living mostly in the southern areas of Egypt, and some white settlers and white ruling elite during the later periods. The ancient Egyptians were a multi-ethnic African civilization, and their ethnicity was inextricably tied to their geographic location. Your point.
So, again, I'm going to say for his point, he tried to use the most politically correct statements that discredit the Africanity of the Egyptians, and specifically the blackness of the Egyptians. Now let's listen to how he relays his opponent's point.
Ancient Egypt was originally founded by one indigenous black African culture named...
Man, the way that you even put that sentence ain't even right. You think he said one culture, and then you said Nakata? You messing all up.
the Nakta culture from down South Africa, and the other
Let me show y'all why he messes so much up. I'm gonna go to the map, dude. Look, God, I feel sorry for this guy. He shouldn't mess with nobody from the arches. I'm gonna make this bigger so everybody can see. This the stuff he don't know. When they say South, he be thinking they talking about outside of the borders of Egypt. Look at this, y'all. What does this say? Tell me that ain't the word he just tried to say. He don't even know because it ain't even his argument. He's trying to tell the Afrocentrist what his argument is. And he's unfamiliar with it because if I zoom this map out, you'll clearly see that Nakata is within the borders of Egypt. It's just in South Egypt. But he keeps saying Nakata. So maybe he'll go come up with another people. But no, I watched the other guy's page. And if I take Nakata and pop this into right here, you're going to see what they say. That the Nakata culture was one of the first cultures. Nakata culture. Coming up out the South. But see, he said somewhere more south in Africa. Man, don't be listening to these fools and let them mystify you with them words. Watch this.
Tied to the geographic location. Your point. Ancient Egypt was originally founded by one indigenous black African culture, namely the Nakta culture from down South Africa, and the...
From down South Africa. Oh my God. See, when I be hearing these mistakes and people be like, Smash, do something, respond to dude. I be like, bruh, I ain't responding to dude. This for y'all. This is he can learn from my video. That's all he could do.
The other Eurasian ethnic groups joined in later and constituted a minority. You in fact make fun of the Egypt.
That's actually what Maria Gatto said. And Soy Kiata. He said, yeah, they was there. They started constituting the majority later in times with these mass migrations. Particularly when the Romans came in, when the Greeks came in. Come on, dude. Now, I'm not saying don't act like I ever mount the argument that people wasn't there like that. Yeah, of course there was some there. But they was in the majority that you saying that the black people was there in.
Egypt was...
That was in the minority that you was saying that the dark-skinned people were there in minority.
A multi-ethnic society argument. So to you, the ancient Egyptians were predominantly black. My goal is to defend
So let's stop real quick. Because earlier in the video, I wanted to point out how he jumps from physical description to the social race construct of black. Let's note how he does that.
Objective reality. Your goal seems to want to rectify the current understanding of African history and culture.
See, that's just BS. That's why I think, I don't know, maybe your brain is too like ChatGPT, bro. Like, what you keep doing is these politically correct answers. All you did was inject the definition of an Afrocentrist into what his goal was. You made your goal all angelic and honorable, and his goal all limited. And, you keep doing this.
By the current understanding of African history and culture. The two would not be necessarily mutually exclusive. The ancient Egyptians, Black African, Eurasian ethnic groups joined in later and constituted a minority. You in fact make fun of the Egypt was a multi-ethnic society argument. So to you, the ancient Egyptians...
Yeah, he said it was multi-ethnic, but he said it was all olive with a black minority.
...were predominantly black. My goal is to defend objective reality. Your
goal is to defend objective reality. Ooh, you're such a superhero. And his goal is something all bad.
Goal seems to want to rectify the current understanding of African history and culture. The two would not be necessarily mutually exclusive unless bias enters the picture. And talking about bias.
No, nab to plier, he didn't say, he said 3 syllables. So I went with Nakata.
We're going to expose the lack of rigor and intellectual integrity in the research of the Metatron's video on ancient Egypt.
Be that as it may, I respect the fact you have the freedom to think that, but you'll need more than a constant repetition of this statement in order to foster such advances. So let's identify the issue. Intellectual rigor is the ability to make well-researched arguments that are supported by logic and evidence. Clearly, the presence of a strong bias will work against...
Well, I will say you might have that. You might have intellectual rigor, but you don't got sources. You don't got facts. You ain't putting no sources on the screen in your whole chill. You ain't said doctor this says this. You just keep saying what your research leads you to believe.
Against this objective. Do you concur? Now, I have nothing against an honest and critical introspection, but you're accusing me of lacking intellectual rigor. And then the content I produced on this topic was not based on carefully considered deep empirical studies based on consistent data analysis, which would...
Shut up, bro.
Was, but that it was rather a shoddy research born of a strong bias, which according to you I have. So this is an exercise in certainty, isn't it?
So just 1 second. I wouldn't argue that you do have a bias. You can't help it. But I'm not saying that you like a biased person. The fact that you just you got a bias. You can't help it. Most people have a bias and we can't help it. To say you just don't got one, but you're addressing, you want to respond to an Afrocentrist on Black Egyptians. Bro, everyone can see your bias. Everyone can know what your video is about to say before watching it. But not only that, bias, again, has become implicit nowadays. So you might not even notice. It just might be implied with the fact that you're going to say something like Afrocentrist instead of the person's name. It might be implied by the perspective you seek on Nubians just being a little bit relegated to the South, and Egyptians was these big old olive people. That is where's this bias coming from? That's not facts. You tend to lead towards that argument. You're biased towards that argument because of what reason? You definitely ain't got it from no facts or from no research. If so, the research was poor, and it probably was just a bunch of poor research methodology, looking at things like all of these things behind you that appear to be like books of all the same shape. So they must be video games, whatever, your DVDs. That must be where you're getting the knowledge from.
So, bias being the key word here. Are you sure you want to use that one, Quelimika? Now let me show the viewer why you're standing on very weak...
It's way better when you use his name, boss. I'm just telling you, just as a man. All that Afrocentric shit, let that go.
...ground with this accusation of bias. Clearly, our audiences cannot read our minds, so how can they determine who is the biased one here? Well, let's discuss the consequences of admitting fault when it comes...
So he gonna go on this whole thing defending himself about the bias. I'm not even about to watch this. This is a waste of time. So you trying to tell me your defense of your biasness isn't bias? You can't make this up. Dude, you cannot defend yourself without being biased, dog. If so, you acting like you Jesus or something. You just so good that you're not biased towards your own self. And now you're defending yourself about being biased, and you think there's no bias in that. That's crazy. I'm not even gonna entertain that because it gets real whack. That's when I'm like, this is a waste of time.
Of a conflict of interest. On top of that, if one were to look at your channel banner, well, you did go out of your way to take the entirety of planet Earth and turn it around just so you could put Africa on top of Europe.
Now let's stop. That is a grave error for anyone to say, acting like they study ancient Egyptian. Let's let him say his whole little part.
The fact that repercussions may increase an individual's proclivity to certain types of bias. Are your eyes diverted away from factual truth because of a conflict of interest? On top of that, if one were to look at your channel banner, well, you did go out of your way to take the entirety of planet Earth and turn it around just so you could put Africa on top of Europe.
So just so you understand something, Mr. Metatron, he did not, and I understand this, I have no communications with the brother. He did not turn the map, the entirety of the earth, upside down just so Africa could be on top of Europe, and you just expressed your bias again. You just can't get out of that box. You think that you are the center of everything. You think he turned this map upside down to spite Europe. In fact, this is the orientation of ancient Egyptians. You see, the delta to the ancient Egyptians, that's why they call it Lower Egypt. But you would never understand that if you looked at the map the way Europeans told us to look at it. Bruh. So, the fact that the Nile River starts deeper south more by our orientation into Africa, which is up to them. Now you can see why that's up to the Egyptians. Upper Egypt, because they're going towards the source of the Nile. And it's called Lower Egypt down here because that's the end of it, not the beginning. So your Mediterranean homeboys, who you think were the major contingency of Egypt, entered at the end of it. In the Delta, where the beginning was in this South that you keep saying that blacks were only limited to. You didn't know that? So how could you be on YouTube on a public platform acting like you get it in? You talk so much about so many different history topics on your page, I could tell you're a generalist. You don't know nothing in depth about Egypt, and you proven it. You didn't even know that almost every Egyptologist, you take one short class in Egypt, they'll tell you about this orientation. Go ask your two linguists, your one published historian, your Egyptologist, and your other homeboy. They should have told you that. But you just accused the other dude of doing this because he wanted to put Africa on top of Europe. Matter of fact, should I go into an institution right now to show them what they say about this right now? I should. Hold on real quick. Because I do recall, I wonder would I be able to do that right fast. Hold up real quick. Because this is nonsense. See if I can do this real quick. I want to pull up a video where I can show you them speaking on this in one of the most prominent institutions in America. All right. The orientation, ancient Egyptian orientation. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Let me see. Progress. Just 1 second. I ain't trying to slow. Y'all know this ain't even like, y'all, this just so y'all can know how to call these clowns when y'all see them acting like they do it big. Hold on. Damn. All right, I might have to leave that alone. I'm just looking through a series of videos, and I wanted to see one that talked about this orientation. Let me see something. Hold up.
The Old Kingdom over if the Third Dynasty should be included in the Old Kingdom or not. If one considers this dynasty as part of the Old Kingdom, then one of the most important names of Egyptian history and pyramid construction is that of King Djoser. Djoser was the...
All right, well, hold on. I thought, well, regardless, we don't have to see that said in the institution. Plenty of people will tell you about this orientation.
That doesn't exactly fill me with confidence when it comes to your supposed lack of bias. So there is that.
So
That was your punchline? Wow, that was the punchline. This is what I'll be saying.
someone who cares about our history,
The expression our history is a massive red flag for me, as I have explained on this dedicated video. With this choice of words, you seem to be claiming ethnic exclusivity over the history and culture of an entire continent just based on the color of your skin. Now, on your video...
All right. But, you know, to be fair, like, when let's just talk about American history. I don't think he based it on the color of his skin, but I don't necessarily disagree with dude right here all the way. I'm not forcing myself to disagree. Like, but so, you know, I don't have a strong enough contention.
It's a massive red flag for me, as I have explained.
Because I don't like people who say that too. Like, you can't be acting like you a teacher and then you say our history and stuff like that. Sorry, leave that language out. He got you with that one.
On this dedicated video. With this choice of words, you seem to be claiming ethnic exclusivity over the history and culture of...
But see, that's where you messed up. He wasn't claiming that by saying our history. Oh, no, you just went too far, but you got him though, Metatron, on that.
an entire continent just based on the color of your skin. Now, on your video, you did not call me a racist, so I'll return the favor and give you the benefit of the doubt, also because reading negative intent in an otherwise ambiguous situation is not exactly, shall we say, my style. But if...
See, this is that, there go that fake liberal stuff again. Suppose y'all both don't call each other a racist, so now y'all can have the discourse. But what if y'all both called each other's racist? Y'all can still have the discourse. You, again, just like racist, got this kryptonite to where you can't be called a racist. So let that alone. Don't trip off people calling you a racist, Metatron. So what? That ain't why I'm there. So what? I might not like you if you cut me off in a car. But I ain't living my life like that. Just find a better response to what you're saying, I'm saying. Because this old liberal hippie stuff ain't working. And you ain't even fooling me.
If you are in fact going down that road, then let me say this. Egypt faces the Mediterranean. I am...
There you go.
Mediterranean.
There you go. You are, so you not biased? You just spilled your whole bias on the floor. Bruh, you just spilled your whole, you one of them you the king of the Mediterraneans. You, Chief X and them all in the same boat. You so retarded. Let me show you something. I just called you that name, I apologize. But I didn't mean it like that. But let me show you what I mean in life. You not knowing what the brother you're critiquing knows about Egypt, it does not face the Mediterranean. All of y'all messed that up because y'all are Eurocentric in your orientation. Let's go back to what you was trying to critique about the brother's map, and you'll see, why do they call it Lower Egypt if it's facing something? The face is always not the, think about your butt and your head. Your head is the upper. If your butt facing something, that's not, he acting like the Mediterranean was significant, way more significant to Egypt than it was. The salt water of the Mediterranean. So let's listen to what he says again.
Our history is a massive red flag for me, as I have explained on this dedicated video. With this choice of words, you seem to be claiming ethnic exclusivity over the history and culture of an entire continent just based on the color of your skin. Now, on your video, you did not call me a racist, so I'll return the favor and give you the benefit of the doubt, also because reading negative intent in an otherwise ambiguous situation is not exactly, shall we say, my style. But if you—
Man, stop all the little kid talk, bro. You're a grown man. Stop trying to overbe like that.
You are in fact going down that road, then let me say this. Egypt faces the Mediterranean.
See how, oh my God. Boy, you blowing my brain away with your bias. Let's all agree that Egypt has 4 sides. Can we at least agree on that? One of the sides, called the top, Upper Egypt, it faces Nubia, or you would say now modern day Sudan. It faces Southmore in Africa. Do y'all hear this? This is like little kid logic.
Egypt faces the Mediterranean.
Now, if I wouldn't have stopped and broke this down for you, y'all would have been thinking, oh, y'all would have been thinking, dude did something, huh? This dude, Astor, actually came in and said Egypt doesn't face the Mediterranean. Bruh, all I'm trying to say is I thought it had 4 corners. How you gonna say which way a piece of land facing, bruh? I thought it had a north, south, a east, and the west. Your bias tells you which way it's facing. Am I incorrect or correct? This dude telling you Egypt is facing the Mediterranean. So it ain't facing Kush. It ain't facing Libya. It ain't facing the Red Sea. This is clown work.
I am Mediterranean.
Oh my God, I need to keep them 2 quotes.
Ambiguous situation is not exactly, shall we say, my style. But if you
This is soundbite material right here, look.
are in fact going down that road, then let me say this. Egypt faces the Mediterranean. I am Mediterranean. My sea, my history too.
His sea? Oh no, that's your joke. Okay, you joking. I feel you.
Metatron starts by saying that the question is a complicated one and
But are you Mediterranean?
multi-layered. His video claims to summarize
Yes. So you can't be acting like you really all the way joking. You just showing your bias.
a multi-centenary old debate in what, 18 minutes? This here is already an issue.
The problem alluded to by Quelimika here is that since I admitted that Egypt and its ethnicity is a complex and multi-layered topic, then the fact that my video was—
I'll let them go back and forth about all this because it just get way crazy, dog. Look.
Yeah.
This is a subtle conversation trick. Well, it's such an easy thing to do, just look it up on Wikipedia, but you couldn't even do that. Well, first of all, it's a non-argument. I do not use Wikipedia, Quelimika, and to be honest, neither should you. At least if you want any academic value to your work. Also, could this be another case of double standards at play?
But you don't even show sources. Stop with the nonsense. I don't like this, man. You on here talking about you don't use Wiki, but you ain't show a source. So you really we don't know what you use. All I know is you give us these politically correct statements that seem like they came off Wiki.
A subtle conversation trick. Well, it's such an
Man, I'm about to go back because this is nonsense.
a valid point of argument.
Yes, Egypt is in Africa. Thank you for acknowledging a fact.
On this point, we are in alignment.
A quick search on Wikipedia will help you know the scholars that have spoken for and against this hypothesis. A quick search on Wikipedia. It's not that hard. Anyhow.
This is a subtle conversation trick. Well, it's such an easy thing to do, just look it up on Wikipedia, but you couldn't even do that. Well, first of all, it's a non-argument. I do not use Wikipedia, Quelimica, and to be honest, neither should you. At least if you want any academic
But watch him not present no sources.
value to your work. Also, could this be another case of double standards at play here? Let's see if he has ever mentioned Wikipedia negatively. On his video about the African origin of astronomy on minute 2, 37 seconds in, he absolutely seems to be agreeing with me on this point.
With online encyclopedia, Wikipedia fails to mention Nabtaplaya in its article on the history of astronomy. I wonder why.
Second deceptive indicator within your speech pattern, mate.
What? Man, I can't watch this part, bro. We just can only do the facts. Like, I don't know. I mean, it just...
Quick search on Wikipedia.
Like, whenever you're doing this right here, this is just for views. This part ain't teaching nobody nothing.
Wikipedia isn't exactly the best thing to suggest to your intellectual opponent during a debate.
Well, if your intellectual opponent in the debate never put one source on the screen, Wiki beat no sources. That's facts. Now, you can beat Wiki easy with real sources, but you ain't put a source up yet.
Is Metatron aware that the ancient Greeks unanimously called the ancient Egyptians black?
Is Metatron aware that the ancient Greeks unanimously called the ancient Egyptians black? Okay. Within this rhetorical question of yours, there are several presuppositions that I believe need to be addressed. And besides, within your entire debunking video, this is in fact...
He didn't presuppose none of that stuff. All the scholars translate the words in the way that they've been translated. You guys now are trying to go back in your reconstructive history. You got to retranslate old Greek terms. Now watch what he do here.
Your weakest point. How can I put it? You are, let's be generous, catastrophically mistaken here. Allow me
Now watch this.
to elaborate. There isn't only one verse that can completely debunk this point of yours. There is a whole cluster of passages, a veritable cornucopia, which I'll...
There's a whole cluster of passages that you're not presenting, but you just gonna show one.
report here, one by one.
Okay.
Furthermore, your linguistic approach within the realm of translation contains significant methodological flaws, and just like the majority of Afrocentric scholars, you omit passages that contradict your statements. Any methodology needs to be pragmatic because the linguistic categories born from any analysis are clearly developed in line with the research questions, with a constant
I'm not feeling dude, sorry bro.
overlap between theory and empirical data. As the basic structure of a linguistic research and interpretation, what we did as a team, in your linguistic section, you did none. Concurrently, when dealing with or using a
See, this is what I'm trying to say, dog. He just gave y'all hella synthesis. Real talk. He just told y'all what he did, but this is what I don't get this new, so I can just not show what I'm doing no more and just say that's what I'm doing now. And I don't have to really show that work to scratch paper, huh?
ancient Greek or even classical Latin vocabulary, you do not deal with absolutes. This is an absolute here. So let's address the word unanimously that you have chosen. Whenever we wish to
See, there we go. There we go. I gotta skip all this. Because he's trying to debate about debate.
use the words of
It's like when I be rapping about rapping. He's trying to debate about debating.
the ancients, for example, the ancient Greeks,
I'm
so we need
just
to
gonna-
remember that in order to do it professionally,
I just want to get to the information.
well, every written or spoken word produced in the ancient texts is a discursive event, and therefore needs to be placed in its correct cultural context, since language and culture are inherently intertwined. Moreover, the historical context needs to also be analyzed and integrated within the interpretation. With that in mind, let's now talk about the word Ethiopian in ancient Greek text. The original Greek word derives from the word I burn, plus the word face. So
I could challenge that right there. He don't know what he's talking about. He just used a bunch of encyclopedias. He not doing no work for himself. This ain't even the root. What's the root of Atho? Atheo, Metatron. I would love to be able to talk to you. You'd have to use Google to find that. The root of Atheo comes from a term Athean, which let us know that, and it's the same root to ether, which lets us know the type of burning in this situation isn't the type of burning that we are alluding to here, like a burnt face. But I'm not going to pull this out too more. It's Athean, Aetthein, or maybe even IEN. Look that up in the Greek dictionary, you'll find out that's the etymon to this Atheo, but let's keep going.
So literally, it means burnt face. It occasionally refers to the population south of Egypt, but in general, it's an indicator of a specific phenotypic type.
See, there we go. All right. That's not true. That's just not true. So you pull up a quote from Herodotus. No, he probably don't know about me. He debunking this other guy. You could pull up a quote from Herodotus where he describes the Eastern Ethiopians and the Western Ethiopians as looking phenotypically different. And so he's saying, calling somebody Ethiopian, saying that they had, oh my God, you just said the most limiting thing.
It derives from the word I burn, plus the word face. So literally, it means burnt face. It occasionally refers to the population south of Egypt, but in general, it's an indicator of a specific phenotypic type.
In general, it's an indicator of a specific phenotype.
Not a population. For example, to Pliny, the word Ethiopians indicates not only the populations living in the southern territories of the Roman province of Egypt, so in Africa Proconsularis, we are talking about the populations led by the famous Kandake Amanirenas in Nubia or Kingdom of Meroe, but it also indicates the populations living in the southern borders of the Gaetuli, so we're talking about modern-day Niger. We therefore see, very important first indicator, that saying Ethiopians from an ancient Greek perspective is not the same as saying Ethiopians from a modern perspective.
But he just contradicted himself. Dude, so you trying to tell me the people in Niger got the same phenotype as the people south of Egypt? He completely contradicted himself with his own overwordy arguments.
The populations living in
I hope he don't think he busting in this video.
It's not only the populations living in the southern territories of the Roman province of Egypt, so in Africa Proconsularis, we are talking about the populations led by the famous Kandake Amanirenas in Nubia or Kingdom of Meroe, but it also indicates the populations living in the southern borders of the Gaetuli, so we're talking about modern-day Niger. We therefore see, very important first indicator.
So they all supposed to have the same phenotype, and let him tell it by you saying that they Ethiopian. Golly.
That saying Ethiopians from an ancient Greek perspective is not the same as saying Ethiopians from a modern perspective.
That's true, but you just messed it all the way up. You just messed up what saying Ethiopians from an ancient perspective was.
With this context.
And it had more to do with physical appearance. It wasn't no race type thing talking about no phenotype. It was more like physical appearance, and they said what you said it meant burnt face, so I don't get it. So you trying to say you had to have a burnt face and big lips? Because phenotypically, burnt face is just your skin color.
Actual detail in mind, let's read the ancients. This passage comes from Astronomica, written by Manilius, and is a Latin didactic poem about celestial phenomena. The Ethiopians stain the world and depict a race of men steeped in darkness. Less sunburnt are the natives of India. The land of Egypt, flooded by the Nile, darkens bodies more mildly. owing to the inundation of its fields. It is a country nearer to us, and its moderate climate imparts a medium tone.
So let's stop, y'all, because this is the trickery. First and foremost, I don't even know who was talking about Ethiopians, right? But here go the trickery. He threw in Ethiopians who, by the use of this term, if we want to talk about people south of Egypt, in that time, you know, from the Greeks, would be a contingency darker, right? So this makes perfect sense, but he's using it in a video when we talking about the skin tone of the Egyptians, and to say that they were lighter than people south more than them has already been said throughout the iconography and even in the literature of the ancient Egyptians. So why will we bring in the Ethiopians here?
Moderate.
It's to make these pseudo points. Because we wasn't even talking about the Ethiopians. Right? But to read that it says, in this moderate climate imparts a medium tone, right? That's what point he's trying to say. But the medium is in between some of the people with the darkest hue, called burnt faces, and some people like the Greeks who already, this is the craziest. Greeks wasn't white. So the medium he's landing on ain't a medium between the two tones that they actually observed. He's just saying a medium tone. What was a medium tone to people who didn't have none of them people considered white? And I don't even know what Menelaus, I don't know what his origin is. I'm not saying he was Greek. I'm just tripping off how he using this.
In parts.
And none of this ain't even the good part yet. This video just is worth the analysis. I should just skip through it.
A medium tone. Let's continue. From Arrianus between the 1st and 2nd century. The appearance of the inhabitants is also not very different in India and Ethiopia. The southern Indians are rather more like Ethiopians, as they are black to look on, and their hair is black, only they are not so snub-nosed or woolly-haired as the Ethiopians.
So let's just stop. Because the funny part is, these same Indians was described as the Eastern Ethiopians by Herodotus, and he made distinction between their phenotypes. The snub noses and the woolly hair was the ones that the Ethiopians in Africa had. And he said the Ethiopians in the East had straight hair, but not as straight as the Indians, and I would like to mind you that. And so I'm just refuting the fact that Ethiopian didn't just mean one phenotype, but it more or less referred to the physical appearance of the skin at that time.
The northern
But why are we talking about Ethiopian?
Indians are most like the Egyptians, physically.
The reason why we're talking about Ethiopian is because in order to make the Egyptians be lighter or a medium tone, you have to compare them to the blackest people on earth. You feel me? So that's why he's talking about the Ethiopians. Notice no one was talking about them, but he brought them up in order to make some type of to make the medium tone of the Egyptians become relevant.
Unanimously? I'm not done. From Strabo, in its geography, between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. As for the people of India, those in the south are like the Ethiopians in color, although they are like the rest in respect to countenance and hair, for on account of the humidity of the air,
So Strabo got this from Herodotus too.
Their hair does not curl, whereas those in the north are like the Egyptians. Next one. Philostratus, nicknamed the Athenian, writes, "For when he arrived at the confines of Ethiopia and Egypt, and the name of the place is Sikaminus,"
man, there's too much trickery going on. Let me go back.
in color, although they are like the rest in respect to countenance and hair, for on account of the humidity.
I just gotta show you all shit.
From Strabo, in its geography between the 1st century BC and the 1st century AD. As for the people of India, those in the south are like the Ethiopians in color, although they are like the rest in respect to countenance and hair, for on account of the humidity of the air, their hair does not curl, whereas those in the north are like the Egyptians.
Let's stop. He keep trying to fool y'all with these quotes. You wouldn't get past me with one of them pseudo-ass quotes. You just used Strabo, right? And you told everybody it was from the 1st century AD to the 1st century BC, right? I'm going to ask you a question. Who was in control of Egypt? Who were the Egyptians when Strabo went? This is so easy. Huh? So I'm gonna break it down for you in case you don't know. I know you should know this, brother. It happened about 332 BC, right? When the Greeks took over Egypt. Right? By the time Strabo got there, the Romans was in control. So the Greeks get to be in control of Egypt for 300 years. Then the Romans in control for about however many years, and then you pull up a source from somebody who say that how the ancient Egyptians look from that time period. There go half of the problem. There go the half of the problem. That's why I always argue about the foundational elements. Man, every time I pause it, you look like a stoner.
For on account of the humidity of the air, their hair does not curl, whereas those in the north are like the Egyptians. Next one. Philostratus, nicknamed the Athenian.
So we're going to go to tell y'all what all the Greeks said, right? Don't forget about how the Egyptians look. Remember that.
Writes, for when he arrived at the confines of Ethiopia and Egypt, and the name of the place is Sikaminus, he came across a quantity of uncoined gold and linen. It was a marketplace to which the Ethiopians bring all the products of...
I'm falling for his own trick. All of these keep addressing the Ethiopians, and he's using it in contrast to say that the Egyptians wasn't as dark as Ethiopians. Golly.
Of their country, and the Egyptians in their turn take them all away and bring to the same spot their own wares of equal value. Now the inhabitants of the marches being the bordering land between Egypt and Nubia, for context, are not yet fully black, but are half-breeds in matter of color. For they are partly not so black as the Ethiopians, yet partly more so than the Egyptians. So, according to an ancient Greek...
According to a Greek who visited Egypt at the times. See, here go the thing. Herodotus is from 450 BC. I gotta give y'all lugs, bruh. This is how you beat this square up. Herodotus is from 450 BC. He visited Egypt before the Greeks took over. He would have been there around some Persian times. All right, and he knew who was Persians and who was Egyptians. This dude bringing out Greeks from when the Greeks took over and the Romans took it from them. Remember that. Herodotus predates all of this. So that's like y'all coming to America 400 years ago and writing down who y'all seen, and then some other people coming 200 years ago and writing down who y'all seen. Do you think the person who came 400 years ago, who wrote down what they seen in America, is going to write down the same thing that the people who came 200 years ago wrote? No. The person 400 years ago going to see all Indians, you know? The person 200 years ago going to see hella white people, black people, and a few Indians. So let's go back.
In matter of color, for they are partly not so black as the Ethiopians, yet partly more so than the Egyptians. So, according to...
So, it's a whole book. I wish I could recall this book. It's a whole book that's on a breakdown of how you became an Egyptian during Greek and Roman times, how you would become considered a native Egyptian during the Greek and Roman times. And no one was coming to Egypt living for 100 years and still calling themselves Greek or Roman. You know that, right? And so the Greeks who came and had children, all the way up to the Turks and the Mamluks, all of them who came there and had children, them was Egyptians. I'm not against that. We arguing this correctly, but we know how it went down. So what you think you got a bond with those, them ain't ancient to us. That's another problem. When Salome came to Egypt, he also learned what you learning right now, that all of these claims that you think is antiquitous, they not even old. I just showed you Herodotus is from 450 BC. Show me a source that you read that's before that. None of them are, because Herodotus was the one who, and Salome and all the sages. You're not fooling nobody, bruh. Herodotus and all the Greeks who was there before European Greeks and Romans took over Egypt, they the ones who said that. See? God, they messed that up. That's just like you going to the Fayum mummies.
The Egyptians are the light-skinned, the Ethiopians are the black-skinned, and these inhabitants of the marches are in between. Unanimously? I'm not done. This is another ancient Greek term, often found in period sources to describe skin tone, and it's one of the
this is one of the ones kind of relevant to the article. But all of those were irrelevant. But this is relevant here, and so that's why I just qualified this like the only source I've seen relevant to what we was discussing. Everything you just threw out about what the Greeks were saying about Egyptians in their time period. So I wouldn't even disagree with that. I would need you to acknowledge how becoming an Egyptian took place during the Greek and during the Ptolemaic times and during Roman times. But let's deal with this Greek term. This is one of the terms Herodotus used.
Favorite of Afrocentric scholars, and it is used to assert the ancient Egyptians' phenotypic type as being black. And for example, they use the words of Herodotus.
That's incorrect. He keeps saying phenotypic type, so he keeps switching. Because this is only supposed to mean dark skin. And that's not your phenotypic type. That's your skin color. Your phenotypic type is going to be a collection of things, not just your skin color. Nose size, lip shape, jawbone. Come on, man. Like, I don't get it. So stop messing that part up.
I'm not done. This is another ancient Greek term, often found in period sources to describe skin tone, and it's one of the favorite of Afrocentric scholars. And it is used to assert the ancient Egyptians' phenotypic type as being black. And for example, they use the words of Herodotus. In reality, anyone who even has the most basic experience in translation of the classics in ancient...
So he's using the tactic that he just said was a badass tactic earlier when the guy went to Wikipedia and he said, only a quick wiki search will show you this, but now he's going into this little tactic, anyone with the basic knowledge tactic. If you want to sit here and talk about the debate all day, we could do that. But this is no more, you're on no higher moral ground than the brother you debated by always talking about anyone with a little bit of knowledge could know, because I'm about to prove how wrong you is in saying that shit.
I'm not done. This is another ancient Greek term, often found in period sources to describe skin tone, and it's one of the favorite of Afrocentric scholars. And it is used to assert the ancient Egyptians' phenotypic type as being black. And for example, they use the words of Herodotus. In reality, anyone who even has the most basic experience in...
See, so this is your rhetorical vice. In reality, anyone who has the most basic experience, shut up lying about that. That's been debated upon a lot. but you trying to make it seem like they need to side with you on this. I can pull up many documents when this is debated on.
In translation of the classics in ancient Greek will tell you that this term is fundamentally polysemic, and it can mean both a black skin or a darker skin as a result of tanning. So,
man, you just messed that up. First of all, how come oh my God, a black skin is the result of tanning? But you trying to act like tanning, man, let's slow this all the way down. Tanning is a temporary result of the skin darkening. The permanent result is being black. The permanent result in the highest magnitude of skin darkening is being black. So how are you trying to draw? They all require the sun. How you trying to say one mean you was born naturally black in a climate to where all your people was like that, and another one mean you just got a tan? Dude, you trying hella too hard.
and it can mean both a black skin or a darker skin as a result of tanning. So
which one do y'all got? I think my blackness is a result of a permanent tanning, but I don't even want to address this nonsense too much.
when translating Herodotus, how do we know which one it is? This is when the discussion enters the domain of discourse analysis. Let's have a look at the passage used by Homer in the Odyssey where this specific term is used, so we can establish a pattern. Here is when Athena brings youth back to Ulysses. We read.
Now watch, this is what I want to point out. In order to make his point here, just like all Eurocentrists do, they use the race construct that they created wisely. They use it when it benefits them. So watch him use it here in order to make this point.
Athena touched him with her golden wand, a well-washed cloak and a tunic she first of all cast about his breast, and she increased his stature and his youthful bloom. Once more he grew dark of skin, and his cheeks filled out, and a beard that was dark grew about his chin. Let's
go back. Let's let him finish though.
use Occam razors here. Do you think that in this case this word is specifically meaning that Athena changed Ulysses' ethnicity and turned him from a Greek into a black African? Or
see, stop. He just did it. He just did it. He's trying to make, how bad do you think some people's brains are? I hope y'all not being fooled by this. You see what he just did? He gave you bad options. He's making you think that Athena had to change the race, which wasn't even a thing. Changed when we wasn't even talking about race. We was talking about having dark skin. But in order to use this quote, he has to inject race, a social construct into it, and it still don't make sense. Let's listen again. He gonna say black Africans.
was dark grew about his chin. Let's use Occam razors here. Do you think that in this case this word is specifically meaning that Athena changed Ulysses' ethnicity and turned him from a Greek into a black African? Or
see? Why did she have to change his ethnicity? The statement says he was darkened in skin. This dude is not, this is how I can tell you ain't on no level with no debates. No intellectual will choose your logic over even minds, let alone people who really debate. You just on YouTube posing, stop fronting. And just for the record, my real career is I'm Casual from Hieroglyphics, the hip hop group. What's your real career? I'm tired of this YouTube stuff. Like, what do you really do?
should we read it within the cultural context of ancient Greece and understand it or interpret it as, no, he's returning a darker complexion, a youthful tan to a man who...
No, you just went with this silly rhetoric. Why would she touch him and give him a youthful tan? Why couldn't he get a youthful tan from the sun? What is the significance of Athena touching him with a golden wand? He all of a sudden just, don't you know that masculinity was black? To be black was to be masculine in Greece. I'll give you Dr. Rebecca Fruto Kennedy on that too. So you are reading the Greek all wrong. Trying to say that it's supposed to mean that they turned him to a black African. Why did you just use race here? We just talking about physical appearance.
As no, he's returning a darker complexion, a youthful tan to a man who was now old, spent most of his time indoor, and therefore his skin had become whiter. Well, considering the fact that we know that the Greeks attributed a tan to youth and a very pale skin to old age.
But you don't know what they attributed blackness to? Wow. They attributed blackness to masculinity.
It's no-brainer. This.
And I gave you a source and you didn't give the people a source. I said Dr. Rebecca Fruto Kennedy. What's your source on that? This dude just talking.
This is just one example of the relation between language use and the wider social-cultural structures which you do not seem to take into consideration. Ever. As mentioned by Frank Snowden, often Afrocentric scholars tend to misinterpret color words in ancient Greek in order to push a specific interpretation of the text that supports their claims.
Just like European.
But Frank Snowden wasn't talking about these words. He was talking about the teams of blacks, reds, and greens that they would have in Greeks, and then you might see the blacks and think they talking about the blacks. Bro, don't start using, oh my God.
Europeans before racism scarcely referred to.
Oh, this is when it's about to get good. I damn near need to start a part 2 for this. I'll go to the store.
Themselves as white.
Also, as a little tangent here, this idea that before racism, Europeans did not use or identify themselves as white, well, that's demonstrably wrong again. From Lucianus, we read, "If an Ethiopian who has never traveled saw people different from us, and he categorically stated in an assembly of Ethiopians that neither white men nor blonde men exist and only black men exist, would his statement be accepted?" Just so you know, the Greeks identify themselves as white, and they consider Germanic people in the north of Europe as blonde.
All right. Well, I need a source on that. He keeps saying shit that he ain't got no sources. So pull up a source on that. Because Rebecca Fruto Kennedy said that's not the case.
Therefore, the critical mind that aims to summarize the debate shall represent both sides of the arguments properly and without bias. Also, this idea of a conventional tan is a fairy tale and without bias, is a fairy tale and without bias, is a fairy tale.
This is either profound ignorance on a linguistic level or a deliberate misuse.
Man, this dude about to fumble and bumble, and he keeps saying all the stuff about linguistics. He like a SAR, dude. Talking about linguistics.
I'll take either.
Also, when Diop and many others see and claim that the ancient Egyptian statues have African phenotypes, they start saying things like, well, statues cannot be used to determine race. Yet Metatron just used the statue to determine the race of Cleopatra, and they do the same with the Greeks.
Third deceptive indicator in your discourse, and this one is a full-on strawman fallacy. In other words, misquoting in an attempt to dominate the conversation. Not gonna happen. For reference, an intentionally misrepresented position is set up because it's easier to relevance. Namely, you want me to try and defend a point, and even ignoring the strawman section when you try to frame
about
it
the
and
debate
say, well,
and just refuting.
White.
Now,
We have representations. They called themselves Egyptians. You say, that is not enough. We don't just have statues from the Greeks. We have literary descriptions. We have iconography. We have representations. They called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't.
So this guy gonna go into particular little instances of Greeks calling themselves whites, not calling themselves white as a collective, but and said that Egyptians didn't call themselves black. Now we about to have some fun.
We have representations. They called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't.
All right, we need a drum roll now. This is why I be sitting on presentations like this. You feel me? He think he know metal netter. Shut up trying to teach the ancient Egyptian language. You don't even know it. He said he wished the ancient Egyptians called themselves black, but they didn't. So for my man who messed up all in this video, this is the ancient Egyptian term for black, and it's most often determined to let us know that they're talking about black when we see the determinative giving us the category of the word. You wish ancient Egyptians called themselves black? Why do you wish that? That's letting me know you a liberal pseudo. You don't wish that. You're doing a whole video to prove they're not black. Well, let's just start right here with Seer Osiris. This is a god. You see, we also say that black people should venerate a black god. I don't know if all of people want to venerate a black god, but they have the name right here, Kimi, the black one. You can look this up. This is from TLA, Thesaurus Lingua Egypti, and you can find it on the Stela of Abkau, where Osiris is called the Black One through Nisbation. But we'll talk about that too. We don't have to talk about the gods that they venerated. Let's go into the persons and names of the Middle Kingdom. Since you seem to be like, you wish, well, now I'm about to make you happy. Because as we see Herman Rank in his work done on the subject in about 1950, a little bit earlier than 53 in the 40s, he classified all the names, did the topography, he did all the titles of ancient Egyptian. And when we find a name like Ta Kimi, which is similar to the same name, which is similar to the same name we seen in with Asar over here, hold on. Why they doing me like that? Hold on. It's just not letting me click back. I ain't even got to click back. Y'all seen it when I was on Asar, right? Yeah, that's going to let me click back right here. See, his name is Kimi. This is the deity, the black one, by all definitions of the word, but every scholastic dictionary going to give you this. So let's just deal with the facts. Persons and names of the Middle Kingdom. This is a source, and this is how you present one. If you want to go look it up, I gave you 2 places to look it up. Rank is Herman Rank's work. Persons and names of the Middle Kingdom. Here he says this name type is a demonstrative pronoun and an attribute. What would that attribute be? Darkness. Being black. It's a physical quality. So you wish ancient Egyptians called themselves black? Well, let's get it in. Because we can go to other attestations. Here we have Kim, the dark one. Name type is a physical quality. The usage period was the Middle Kingdom. These are the genders, both. So you have a male Kim and a female Kim. And they mean black. Herman Rank, there go your source, look it up, or you can pop it in the TLA. These are all the renditions we find of the name. Now, funny enough, and I heard you argue some of the most pseudo stuff. I heard you arguing some of the most pseudo stuff ever. Hold on, DeSheriff, fall back. Every name I'm showing you is referring to the people. Don't even get, bro, I will lightweight scream on you right now. I ain't even dealing with you right now. So just shut up. Kemet. This is the name of Egypt. Worn as a personal name, just like you might have a neighbor named America. I had one. All right. Kemet, her name was Kemet. What did it mean in her name? The Dark One. Name types, physical quality, usage period, middle, 12th dynasty, second, middle, intermediate period, feminine gender. This is Kim. People, didn't you say you wish ancient Egyptians called themselves black? Well, how did these people, you just whipped out individual Greeks calling themselves white, not a racial classification called whites. So I'm showing you individuals calling themselves black and defined as the dark one with a question mark by the scholars because they couldn't deal with what was going on. And I got plenty more of those instances, but let me pop out of this and take y'all someplace else. Since we want to deal with the blackness. This boy say, what'd he say? And I'm going to give y'all a double dose of it. Listen to this suit on this, listen.
We have representations. They called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't.
Now, see, he making so many mistakes because don't ask your linguist about this slide right here. But you didn't even notice. You thought Kemet was the word to talk about. That's where y'all keep making mistakes. Mistake number one, Kemet ain't the ancient Egyptian word for black. It can be used to say black within a feminine gender, but most likely we're going to say Kim, not Kemet, for black. It's the root to Kemet, and this is what you're messing up. And you didn't display no knowledge of this in your video. That means you did not understand this. This is the basis to even having a discussion.
As we'll see on the next section.
Now look at this. See, he went straight to Kemet.
The land known as Kemet, that is ancient Egypt's real name, Kemet, that is ancient Egypt.
I have a plethora of problems with your fixation of the word Kemet, which is also a common trait among Afrocentrists. Now, I myself have used the word Kemet on occasion. It's not that the word is wrong, but fixating on it has zero linguistic standing. Let me elaborate.
First of all, you being real pseudo, dog. You said calling, you said fixating. So if you want to frame your arguments, yeah, ain't nobody fixating on nothing. He wasn't fixated on the term Kemet.
First and foremost, do you always use the correct and appropriate term for describing a nation? Do you say Japan? Wrong, it's Nihon. Do you say China? Wrong, it's Zhongguo. Do you say Germany? Wrong, it's Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking...
Do you say Germany? Wrong, it's Deutschland. Well, who were the people of Germany? Germanic tribes, right? Now, he's making somewhat of a point, but he has to deal with something that, I'm sorry, is a part of the issue. So again, I'm not just going to try to disagree with you, but I want you to keep this in mind. I'm sorry, but on this earth, Europeans have done the most colonization, right? Now, a lot of the places that have not been colonized historically still rock their ancient names. And so that's one of the problems. Like, you can go, I mean, they was rocking Greece since at least 500 BC. We know before then how they was doing with Macedonians. We know Hellenists and all the other stuff, but they was rocking Grecos. The Romans called them Grecos since about 500 BC, and you still saying that to this day. Actually, sometimes you go out the way to say Roman Greco, to say it the way that the Romans are Greco-Roman. You know what I'm saying? To say it that the way the Romans pronounced it. So there are certain places that you do still call by their ancient names. And when you, let's say when we go into, I'm trying to leave us out of it and go to, somebody said this guy is referring to Greeks calling themselves white. I don't know what y'all talking about, but I'll try not to get sidetracked by what's going on in the chat. So I just wanted to say that when a place has been colonized and given a new name, sometimes people refer to the name that it was called before that colonization for other purposes because that would be the original name of the place. It's not really no big deal about that. But yes, you're right. You don't always do that because you're not always addressing that issue. So sometimes people are even indeed addressing these things politically in the face of colonization. That happens. This is just something we have to rectify, but it happens.
Say Germany, wrong, it's Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking, Ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins.
What are you talking about? Man, this dude don't know. I wish Geechee Gullah will tell you this.
It's Kamito-Semitic.
Oh my gosh, dude, you are in grave error. Did you just really just say that? Look at this. Listen to him again.
Ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins. It's Kamito-Semitic.
What? Did you say Hamito, bro?
Southern African origins. It's Kamito.
What is Kamito? You messing this all up. Kamito-Semitic? You're trying to say Hamito-Semitic, and you don't want to get caught up in that.
Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking, Ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins.
Oh, he really a pseudo. Y'all right. He don't know what he talking about. He clearly don't know what he's talking about. Let me show y'all something. First of all, I'm going to Christopher Eric. We always got to kill him with the scholars. This dude just said Hamo-Semitic, bruh. He got mad at the brother for showing the proper perspective on the Egyptian map. But I'm about to go to Dr. Christopher Eric. He tried to say Kamito-Semitic. Dude. Oh my God, this dude is a pseudo. Now, I wouldn't want to debate with him, so I'll just let the world know.
Or heard about a recent genetics article that makes the ancient Egyptians out to be Levantines. Let me be very clear, these findings come from one locale. At least.
I'm about to show y'all. I don't know what he's doing, but the Horn of Africa is what they say that this language group comes from. And it's only one language in it that ain't indigenously African. Man, I don't know what he's doing.
To examine.
I want y'all to see what Christopher Ayers says. Here we go. This is what he actually did, and he don't even know that he is lightweight biased.
Small digression here.
So Christopher Ayers, your elder, could teach you right here. And why you should never do a video again acting like you don't got no type of biases using terms like Hamito-Semitic. For real? Watch this.
There is an older name for the Afroasiatic family. A horrendously bad name. The alternative name, Hamito-Semitic. You recognize the name Ham, of course, here, and Hamito. To still use that name today is to perpetuate the horrific invention by racists of a myth used to justify enslaving and it's the slaver's own myth, it's not truly biblical, that Ham was the ancestor of all Africans, so they could get the Africans they wanted into their myth, that God had passed Noah's curse on to Ham's supposed descendants by giving them dark skins. And even more horrifying to me, still in our own day, I've been discovering there are only too many American fundamentalist Christians who still hold to this myth.
Now,
It's really shocking. And
so he don't even know when he doing his racism. I never called him a racist, but he just got through saying that the Afro-Asiatic language was Hermeto-Semitic. Trying to sound all like he was doing something. Let me go back.
They start saying things like, well, statues cannot be used to determine race.
Conversational full-on
Where it go?
civilization can often,
Hold on.
and even ignoring the strawman descriptions, we have iconography called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't.
Oh yeah, I didn't finish that part. I got more Egyptians calling themselves black. So I'm gonna go to a different presentation. Because I don't know why dudes are so pseudo. Like, why would you not think that the Egyptians would call themselves black? They was black. They drew themselves black. They did it all. Now stop being a hater. And I'm going to show you more and more homework until you just have to be toppled over with sources that you ain't got. Don't put up 6 Greek quotes on the screen, bro. Where your sources? And y'all be falling for that crap. I rock with real scholars, and I'm going to bring them out today. So let me see. I'm trying to find this for you, brother. Hold up. Right here. Ancient Egyptians calling themselves black. First of all, let me give you a lesson. You don't even know no Coptic. Why you was messing up the Coptic? Let me show you something. Do you see this Coptic dictionary? Let's just say for the word which is at the root of the word Kemet, they have Kame here, K-A-M-E. You know, those aren't the Coptic letters, but I just said the English equivalents. They also have Cam. Notice that the A is always there. Like, I mean, it's there, you know, not always, the majority of the time. But when it says black, 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 we got Kemet, K-H-M-E. Note that. Black, the black, but land is in parentheses, and Egypt follows that. Because at a time period before they ever met Greeks, no one was ever saying Egypt when they said Kemet. They just wasn't saying that. And so what I want y'all to see is this: since the boy getting 100,000 views and he on the views talking about he ain't never, ever seen no. First of all, let me show you this. This is from Crumb's Coptic Dictionary. All right. Now you see here, Cam. What is the adjective? Kim. What is the adjective? Black. Hey, yo, if y'all got like a pseudo troll who, man, you better beat the brakes. Where my archers at? Somebody should have been clipped that clown. Talking about people who can barely write. What are you talking about? You coming in here with your little racism because you see, the fact is y'all side of the argument, the Eurocentrists, y'all always resort to the same stuff. I'm bombarding you with facts and you can't do nothing. You don't even know the ancient Egyptian language, nor does the man that you champion, Megatron. So yeah, let me keep it popping. Thanks for clipping him and getting him up out of here. Appreciate that. Now, if he would have stayed on the topic, but he couldn't, he started getting on his racism. Now look at this Coptic term. Okay, it means as an adjective for black. They give you all kind of sources on it. You can find it. I want us to keep going though, and what you're gonna see over here in Sahidic, Baharic, and Phonetic, a nominal noun, masculine, feminine, a black person or thing. All right? So hold on. We in the Coptic talking about the word that was derived from the ancient Egyptian term Kim. Now he'll be back, but he get the time out to know he could debate and he could refute us. But when he started talking about y'all can't even write or read, who can't write? I have a book. Where's your book? Dude. I am a, what do they call it? Sourced author. They come and use my work. All right. Now let's see. Over here we got what? That Cam, the root to Kemet, can mean a black person or thing. This is in Crumb's Coptic dictionary. Show me a term related to the name of Egypt that means an olive person or thing. So what I'm saying here, my point of emphasis is that in a derivative language, one of the last surviving ancient Egyptian languages, when we look at Kim, we find it can mean a black person or a thing. It was that way in Egypt too, when I just showed you the names of people called Kim. When this guy said, oh, we need to find some people who called themselves black. Let's hear him again. Listen to how bad this be sounding to me when I hear it. Now y'all know, listen.
We have representations. They called themselves white. I wish the Egyptians called themselves black. I know you think they did, but they didn't, as we'll see on the next section.
So how could you lie to the people saying that you got two linguists, an Egyptologist, a published historian, and somebody else, and they all supposedly helped you with this video, with them lies? Stop lying. You wouldn't get past me.
The land known as Kemet, that is ancient Egypt's real name, Kemet, that is ancient Egypt.
I have a plethora of problems with your fixation of the word Kemet, which is also a common trait among Afrocentrists.
Well, that's your fault. Those are your problems. Deal with your problems. But don't nobody care that you got a problem with people using the original name of the land of Egypt. No one cares about your plethora of problems with that.
Now, I myself have used the word Kemet on occasion. It's not that the word is wrong, but fixating on it has zero linguistic standing.
Well, that's necessarily not true. They named their nation Kemet for a reason, and we're trying to figure out what that reason is.
Let me elaborate. First and foremost, do you always use the correct and appropriate term for describing a nation? Do you say Japan? Wrong.
No, we use those terms for describing colonized nations that was colonized by the European. We don't never like to, specifically, Afrocentrists don't like to use the names y'all gave the places that y'all took over. You got a problem with that?
It's Nihon. Do you say China? Wrong, it's Zhongguo. Do you say Germany? Wrong, it's Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking, ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins.
Man, you don't know what the hell you talking about. God, you like you getting worse and worse. But so who is your linguist that taught you that? Listen, I'm just going to click on the first thing that pop up because nothing's going to contradict me. What you're going to find out is this is a Britannica, by the way, every language in this language group is indigenous to Africa except for one. Then you're going to find out that they say, even right here, that it started in the Horn of Africa. So it ain't saying that right here. It's showing you the span of the languages. So I want you to see where it started. We all know that on this channel, though. Because we talk about that. We went over plenty of facts on that. I just wanted to give a quick pull up on it. So I'm just clicking right here to show you common knowledge. I'm not even reading the article on Wiki. What I'm going to show you is this. Afro-Asiatic. Now, he still came these. They threw those away. That's why I said, I know you pseudo, and you just heard Christopher Eric tell you that. Like, that name is a racist term. So let's look at this. Proto-language. What are the subdivisions? We got Berber, indigenous to Africa. Chadic, indigenous to Africa. Cushitic, indigenous to Africa. Now let's look at what Egyptian, indigenous to Africa. Semitic, now that could have started in Africa too, but this is the one that takes you outside of Africa. And Amadic, so when people say Afro-Asiatic, they be misleading you just by the use of the term, because it make you think that Asiatic is represented as much as Afro is. 5 of the languages in that language family are African. And now if you want to talk about the origin of the language, you can look right in here and they're going to tell you the Horn of Africa. So you don't use Wiki. I just threw up Christopher Eric. If you want a better video, I just put it up. And he speaks about that right in this video. Let's go. Christopher Eric. See, that's Cat's problem. The truth is the truth if you write it on the stone. The truth don't not turn to the truth when you put it in Wiki. The problem is there's a lot of lies in Wiki. So those who don't know the difference can't tell the difference.
Or heard about a recent genetics article that...
Hold on. I'm sorry. I gotta take a quick break. So we're gonna listen to some. I'm gonna just let Christopher Eric rock for a minute. He gonna discredit the genetics article real quick. I'm gonna let him rock. Be right back.
Whole new bodies of evidence revealing the African rootedness of pre-dynastic and early dynastic Egyptian culture. By the way, this is just going off here for a second. Some of you may have seen or heard about a recent genetics article that makes the ancient Egyptians out to be Levantines. Let me be very clear, these findings come from one locale in a large stretch of possible locales in northern Egypt, and the finds date well after the foundational periods of ancient Egypt. It's somewhat as if, I was thinking of this particular image, rather than investigating DNA from a 17th century cemetery in Plymouth, we instead choose to investigate DNA from a later 19th century cemetery in South Boston. And then we conclude, having done that the United States was founded by people of Irish descent, and that Americans were predominantly, are predominantly Irish. Well, that isn't necessarily how the writers of the article meant it to be interpreted, but that's certainly the way I've had people interpreting it to me. Even someone with a Coptic, seemed to be a Coptic last name from the sounds of things, berating me for being such a terrible human being all these years of my whole career, for ever having thought of Egypt as being African. So anyway, there is a deeper problem here. Genetics may be able to tell us about the different elements in our individual genetic, physical ancestries.
What are you talking about?
Ancestries that we may have partaken, come from in our individual selves. But genes do not at all determine language.
So there y'all go. For the people who try to overuse the genetics, we can watch this later. It's called The Africanity of Egypt. And everything he shows in this whole video just debunks the Metatron guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to, nah, I'm cool. So where was we at? I was about to show y'all something. No, we was listening to him.
They start saying things like, well, statues cannot be used to determine race. Yet Metatron just used the statue to determine the race of Cleopatra, and they do the same with the Greeks.
Third deceptive indicator in your discourse, and this one is a full-on strawman fallacy. In other words, statues that I don't even hold. Nice try. And even ignore geography, we have
real name, Kemet, that is ancient Egypt.
I have a plethora of problems with your fixation of the word Kemet, which is also a common trait among Afrocentrists. Now, I myself have used the word Kemet on occasion. It's not that the word is wrong, but fixating on it has zero linguistic standing. Let me elaborate. First and foremost, do you always use the correct and appropriate term for describing a nation? Do you say Japan? Wrong, it's Nihon. Do you say China? Wrong.
We addressed this already.
It's Zhongguo. Do you say Germany? Wrong, it's Deutschland. Also, for reference, linguistically speaking, ancient Egyptian is an Afro-Asiatic language, and it does not have, for as much as we understand, Southern African origins.
Man, you wrong. The Christopher Eric and they all put forth that Afro-Asiatic starts in the Horn of Africa. The Horn of Africa is down here, not where you showing.
It's Kamito-Semitic. Geographically, Asia is...
See, look at this. Now he talking about geographically Asia because he misusing the language group Afro-Asiatic to misrepresent it like it got a big thing to do with Asia. I just showed y'all only one language inside of the language group has anything to do with going off the continent.
It's physically connected to Africa, which is something that people seem to forget. Also, when you say Kemet, you're using the so-called E of convention used by Egyptologists when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. But the fact that...
Let's stop. See, he messing this up, dog. Whoever your Egyptologist is, let me talk to him. And whoever your linguist is, play him this video. I don't really need the discourse unless y'all brave enough. You're going to try to hide behind hella little stuff. So look, I want you to see this.
Something that...
Listen to what you said.
People seem to forget. Also, when you say Kemet, you're using the so-called E of convention used by Egyptologists when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. But the fact that...
That's not true. And you messed it all up. Like, you didn't even explain that. What your explanation made no sense. I know you only slipped of the tongue and you meant to say vowels, but you said consonants. Listen, y'all. Unless y'all think E is unless y'all think E is a consonant, listen to what he says.
Consonants, but the fact...
Dang, man. All you gotta do is listen sometimes.
Is physically connected to Africa, which is something that people seem to forget. Also, when you say Kemet, you're using the so-called E of convention used by Egyptologists when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. But the fact...
That's not when they do it. He said when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. No, actually, they know how to vocalize the consonants. They don't know what vowel connects them. Literally, he said Egyptologists add an E when they don't know how to vocalize consonants. Bruh, you messed that up. The convention is to add an E when you don't know which vowel connects the consonants. Oh my God. Now watch how much you keep messing it up more.
How to vocalize consonants, but the fact that archaeologists use it doesn't mean that that's the correct way to pronounce it. They're archaeologists, not linguists. To reconstruct ancient Egyptian, we need to vocalize it through Coptic and loan...
Nah, he ain't beefing with me. I'm just showing him how bad it would be if he was.
...words in Hebrew and in Greek, similarly to how classical Latin has been reconstructed, and throughout the transcription of cuneiform, script of the Neo-Babylonian period and Assyrian. Also building with the similarities of the Saiti dialect, we know that linguistically speaking, the pronunciation Kemet has no academic linguistic dignity.
That's incorrect and not true. He don't know what the hell he talking about. Like he don't know what the hell he talking about. First of all, in the proposed Kemet we talking about, we got 2 E's to discuss. And so we need to talk about which one he's saying ain't there. Right? And I would say that it will most logically be the second one. But let's keep on going because it's not about that. Let's just watch what he says.
Clearly comes from the Coptic pronunciation Kem and Kemi in the Boairic dialect.
So he's saying it clearly comes from the Coptic, like that's a bad thing.
Dialect. The long air in open syllable in that specific position helps us understand that most likely in classical Egyptian we have a U in that position.
Man, he's just massacred. I mean, I don't know what he just did to Kemet. But he massacred what he lied like he don't wiki learn that. Or either you probably didn't wiki learn that, but your source wiki learned it.
We have a U in that position.
I could prove your source wiki learned it because you don't got to be showing wiki. If my brain can recall where I seen what you mislearned, somebody had something to do with wiki.
Specific position helps us understand that most likely in classical Egyptian we have a U in that position.
So he's saying most likely, no, he's not right with that. He's completely incorrect, and I'm going to show y'all how.
So if we really want to be precise, then the correct...
But see, y'all might, let me show you. I'm about to beat the brakes off you to show you something. If I go to Egyptian language, I can clearly show y'all where y'all getting that from, right? I'm going to go down on the wiki. Dude, I know this stuff by heart. So why am I just pulling up this? How could, oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let's find it. Where they tell you about this happening in late Egyptian. God, people. So look. Hold on. I want you to see it. If you, I want you to see what they say about the U and the E. It's in here. It's in this article here. I want to see if I can find it in time. All right. Is this right here? Did we right around here? Oh, here it is. There it go. Now, I knew I'd find that because I know where cats be getting this stuff from. Now it says the old A surfaces as a U. Come on, man. The old A surface, man, y'all got to stop messing with Smash. Because he beat the brakes off you. Whatever you pull up real quick, I'm just going to show you where you tripping. The old A surfaces as a U after nasals and occasionally other consonants. All right? So in this Nater, they got right here like Nakar, and they said Nukti, or Niut. So what's happening here is the old A, which used to be a A, is occurring, because Niut is the Coptic, is occurring in the Coptic as a OU, not the other way around. When he says the old A, what used to be a A, the old kingdom A, surfaces as a U. Okay, so let's remember. But he says the other way around. Wait. Let's hear what he says, and I want to keep reading. I don't want to misquote him.
That most likely in classical Egyptian we have a U in that position. So if we really want to be precise, then
see, he went backwards. He took the Egyptological E that they just threw in there, and he tried to use a method of seeing what an E would translate back to, but the E isn't put there for anything but a placeholder.
That position.
Listen. So he took the placeholder and said what the placeholder would be.
Kemi in the Boairic dialect. The long air in open syllable in that specific position helps us understand that most likely in classical Egyptian we have a U in that position.
So he messed that up, and I'm gonna prove that's so good. He just messed it all up. Trust me. I'll be having surprises. Let me show you. I ain't gonna show you the surprise now. Then it ain't gonna be a surprise. But so it says the old A surfaces as U under nasals and occasionally under consonants, like, and they give an instance with Nater, God, which they said was Nachar, you know. And they said it changed to Niu. It says U has acquired phonetic status as is evidence in the minimal pairs like to approach. And they got all of these instances. I don't want to read over them. Now it says an etymological U greater than E often surfaces as I. Now, if I could pinpoint where he made this mistake, when you telling me you ain't reading Wiki, okay, cool. Well, I'm going to tell you shoulda. Because if you would have read Ricky, you wouldn't have made that mistake. Let me go down here. Look what they say. An etymological, you know, like an etymological U greater than the E often surfaces as an I next to an R and after an etymological I don't even know that word. Paragenes. I need to know what that actually means.
Pharyngeal.
Pharyngeal. R is a noun for phonetics. Okay. Let me see. I lost where I was at here. All right, yeah. So, I mean, again, about this U turn into this V thing, right here, they saying it even often surfaces as I next to an R, and after etymological pharyngeals, what they said, for street, whatever, they're showing it happen here in a Semitic loanword. But that ain't what I want to talk to. I'll refer to our linguist homie who took the time out to show us the error that guys like this is making when he was analyzing Fuma's work. So y'all could think that, but trust me, argue about Wiki if you want, man. This smash rock Wellington, bro. Like, and so let's look at the evidence. Let's learn from PhD Dr. Sandro Capocicci about this phenomenon that the brother Metatron here don't even understand what's going on.
The evidence of pre-Coptic Egyptian. We are more likely to be in the presence of a word from another grammatical category derived from the root k.
I'm sorry, this wasn't the first video, because you know I get to the end for y'all. So let me play the first one. Hold on, what's going on here? Why is that right there? I thought that should be my downloads. Oh well. Let me get to this one, huh? Let's just open it. Show in folder. Real quick, let's watch this video and have some fun with it.
Coptic verbal morphology. A reader unfamiliar with Coptic grammar may assume that one is dealing with two completely different words, such as French blue and fatty, BL versus barrel, which have neither the same number of consonants, nor the same vowels.
So hold on. You see, when we get Kim, and we only got these two consonants, some argue that how do we know that this is the Kim that means black? But in this, he's going to teach us about Coptic and the morphology so that myself, he did it for me. He was actually teaching, well, no, he wasn't teaching me here. He wrote this publicly. But it's for us to learn from. So I'm going to take it back. And it's in his refutation of another scholar, Fuma. Let's go.
Coptic verbal morphology. A reader unfamiliar with Coptic grammar may assume that one is dealing with two completely different words, such as French blue and fatty, BL versus barrel, which have neither the same number of consonants, nor the same vowels. Unfortunately, Fowler seems unaware that Egyptian and Coptic have a verbal morphology largely based on a high degree of apophony. These languages have a verbal morphology consisting of a root made up of a consonant sequence providing lexical information and a template, a mold made of a fixed number of consonants and a particular vowel sequence providing grammatical information.
So remember this. The Coptic template that he's breaking down, the vowels provide grammatical information. They're not just there to separate consonant sounds. But watch how he breaks this down. And layman's just need to fall back.
One root can be associated with different templates, giving it different grammatical functions. For example, the root /km/ in Coptic is associated with darkness. The CCC template associates this root and others with the infinitive. Thus, when associated with this template, the root km becomes quam/kmm/ become black xm becomes xmm in Bohairic. The root hm associated with heat, when associated with the template CCC, is realized as /hem/get hot. This is what Fowler seems to have understood in a later work, Fowler 2050. Should we to conclude that Kem, Shami and their ancestor KMT Egypt had nothing to do with the color black? The answer is no. Coptic, although descended from Pharaonic Egyptian, differs from it in several ways. And in this case, the adjectives derived from km, to be black in Coptic, are obviously derived from words belonging to other grammatical categories of the late hieroglyphic Egyptian language. We know this for several reasons. First of all, the hieroglyphic feminine marker of nouns and adjectives T has historically been lost, leaving its absence to regularly match with the final vowel /e/ in Coptic Sahidic and /i/ in Bohairic.
Let's stop. Because what he just said was, that's how we do know it's an E in Kemet. Not the first E in between the Kim, but the final E. Watch this. Read again. Listen to this and apply it to what we know of the term Kemet. Listen.
First of all, the hieroglyphic feminine marker of nouns and adjectives T has historically been lost, leaving its absence to regularly match with the final vowel /e/ in Coptic Sahidic and /i/ in Bohairic. We concede with the examples in 1. If came,
so let's go back to these. We're going to go back to the examples if I can, because I skipped past it. The examples he gave were these terms. So what we're going to see is consistent that where the Coptic terms have a E in the final position, the Egyptian terms will have an et. Now we can establish patterns. We know we got something, so hold on. I don't know what happened. Hold on. Here we go. I'm just trying to get it to stay on that one slide. What happened? I'm gonna have to pause it. Hold on.
We concede with the examples in 1.
There we go. Pause. Now these are the examples given by Sandro Capocicci. For the word evil, we have Benet for the ancient Egyptian. But if you go to the Sahidic, we're going to have Bene. And if you go to Baharic, you're going to have Beni. Shout out to the Black Raven for the contribution. Thanks for keeping the page always popping, and to all the others who contributed to the page today. I appreciate you. You know this is what the Magi is all about, and this is what we do. So here we got another term here for number, which is giving us apet. Notice how I got an et on the end of all of these pharaonic Egyptian terms. But as we go into Sahidic, we're going to lose the ET and just retain the T. Just retain the E. Epe. All right? And in the Baharic, we got epi. Here we go to the term for Isis, if we look at how it's said in Pharaonic Egyptian, you're going to say aset. You still hear that et at the end? We're establishing patterns to show that if you have an et on the end of an ancient Egyptian word, it will occur in Coptic with the final, in Sahidic with the E and or whatever is represented by the upside down E, and in Baharic with a I. This is Sandro Capochichi pointing this out.
If came, Zame came from a word only combining KM with T, one would expect their final vowel to be /I, which it is not the case.
So he's basically making a point that first of all, there was another word related to blackness, closely associated to the Kim word that they also could draw, they also could use in other instances. And he's gave other instances. We have some who argue against the ancient Egyptian term for the pupil of the eye, the black of the eye, which was Kemet. But some people say, no, that was just a way to say black. Well, then that means Kemet is a way to say black. But let's continue. I want y'all to see part 2 of that so we can get the full breakdown.
The evidence of pre-Coptic Egyptian. We are more likely to be in the presence of a word from another grammatical category derived from the root, km. If the hypothesis of kmt deriving from an adjective was true, one could expect a *chem, xem form as a masculine adjective and *chem, zemi as a feminine adjective, which we do not have. However, we find the Greek transcription Orchamus of the Egyptian theonym hour p 3 kilometers, Horus the black, or black, kilometer is...
Let's stop. Because you can't lose this. Because they're going to try to trick you and fool you, and I'm arming you with stuff. You know damn well dude couldn't talk to me about this subject. However, we find the Greek transcription of whatever that Greek term was, he said, of the Egyptian theonym, Hor Pa Kim. Horus the Black. So let's slow down. Because what we got to learn here is when the Greeks translate this, they put Kim in there. But they put it with the XEM, which confirms Sandro Capochichi saying that there was another word related to blackness that was there. You feel me? Ooh, y'all funny. Chat be funny. Look, Hor-Pa-Ha was written in Greek, and they use the term Kim. Now let's just let him break it down for you. Look.
Or black kilometer is transcribed by zem, which confirms the existence of an adjective chem, xem in pre-Coptic.
So there was an XEM in pre-Coptic, and we can determine that. Another chem that did have something to do with black, and we could determine that from the sources that the PhD has given us. Now I'll let y'all hear this all over again from the top of this slide.
However, we find the Greek transcription Orchamus of the Egyptian theonym hour p 3 kilometers, Horus the black, or black, kilometer is transcribed by zem, which confirms the existence of an adjective chem, xem in pre-Coptic. Weisichel, 1984-81, who noted this fact, reports that this vocalization, which did not survive for the root, km, survived for other Pharaonic adjectives in Coptic. This is the case with the...
breaking it down. So she's saying the vocalization of the other term Kim survived into the Coptic. And I mean, it didn't, but other terms like it did. And she's showing it with the instance of the Wab priest and noticing how they had it. Just check this out.
Name of WB, a type of ancient Egyptian priest whose name was derived from the adjective WB, pure, and which in Coptic gave Weeb, in Sadic and Web, in Bohairic. Another argument confirming this fact comes from the testimony of the Latin-speaking Greek writer Plutarch, who lived during the first 2 centuries of the Christian era. In chapter 33 of his work Isis and Osiris, Plutarch explains in these terms the meaning of the name of the country of the ancient Egyptians in the language of the latter. In addition, we name Egypt, because its lands are black among all, like the black of the eye, Chemia.
Now stop, because he used Chemia in Greek. He used Chemia in Greek. You feel me? He used Chemia in Greek. So he was relating that to a word that he know that was close to blackness. Now watch this.
Chemia. In this sentence, Plutarch teaches us that the name of Egypt was Chemia, which strongly resembles the Bohairic form of the term, which as we have seen is Zemi. We also learn from this text that in Plutarch's time, ancient Egyptians considered that the name of their country, Zemi, was linked to the black color, more precisely the color of the earth in this country, described as the blackest among all. Interestingly, this connection was also made, according to the author, through the relation between the name of Egypt and the black of the eye.
All right, let me just stop and say something. Now, I ain't gonna even stop and say nothing. Let's keep watching this. Forget it. I'm glad I didn't stop and say something.
Connection was also made, according to the author, through the relation between the name of Egypt and the black of the eye, that is to say the pupil. Why this reference to this black reality rather than to another? Because there was, in hieroglyphic Egyptian, a word kmt derived from the root kilometer, black, meaning the pupil. Like the name of Egypt.
So there was an ancient Egyptian. Matter of fact, I think I still got the dictionary open. Come on, man, stop playing with me. There was an ancient Egyptian, even though, despite what people will tell you, this is the latest word of bust by Hannock, Raynard Hannock. And look right here. You don't even have to read the English. Just what does this say? The black. So it says the Schwartz, and it means the pupil. Y'all see that? Should I make it bigger? So there's another scholar who argues with there's no ancient Egyptian word for the pupil. But it means the black of the eye. So they wrote Kim here and then they put an I here. Now I'm about to wind this up because this boy about to make one of the biggest errors ever, but let me finish this, then I'm just going to stop.
Egypt, because it was derived from the root km, black, it could only have been a nominalized adjective. Plutarch and his Egyptian informants' reference to the black eye rather than hair or some other black reality was motivated by the fact that the two terms were perfect homophones, which one might have expected since they both were nominalized feminine gender adjectives. We therefore have an additional argument for the vocalization of adjectives formed from kilometer, black, with a, e, in pre-Coptic and therefore the
formation. What? With the e? God, how do I got this homework? This dude sat there trying to tell me that the e in Kemet, we ain't got no source for that. But I just whipped out a linguist. Hold on, let me show you who I give y'all compared to who he give y'all. He gave y'all some imaginary linguists. Imaginary. I'm going to type SANDROCAPOCHICHI. First thing you're going to see is from Harvard. Wow. Harvard Education. Harvard.ed. This is our PhD. He got 2 PhDs. All right? He got one. Look, he received his PhD in linguistics in 2019. And he going to Harvard for another one. So you're going to take YouTube, dude who don't even look like he groomed, over Sandro Capocicci. Okay. Huh? You feel me? So we dealing with the PhD, and I showed you my correspondence with him. So none of the nonsense about talking to some YouTube dude who willing to debate when you ain't even really on it like that. Like, ain't nobody really tripping.
Adjectives.
Now listen to what this says, y'all.
therefore have an additional argument for the vocalization of adjectives formed from kilometer, black.
Kilometer, every time he says kilometer, he's talking about this KM root here.
Vocalization of adjectives formed from kilometer, black, with a, e, in pre-Coptic, and therefore the formation of the name of Egypt through this process.
I don't care who trying to teach Egypt wasn't black. Y'all seen I beat the brakes off. Come on, man, I beat the brakes off of, hold on, man, check this out. Kinetic energy, shut up promoting other pages while I'm on, bro. Straight up. Excuse my language. That's that hater shit. Why, if you think he shouldn't be talking about something, is you trying to lead people to go over there to watch it? Shit, now cut that shit out. Fuck what other people doing while I'm popping. Shit, let them have their 2 views right now. Because if Smash on, it ain't as many people looking at them. And I know that's facts. So let's keep it popping.
Egypt through this process. Fuma's argument relating to the different vocalized.
That be that dry hating shit. Somebody come in your video talking about who else is on right now, like the channel, change the channel.
Of the name of Egypt and of the.
But don't take my my fervor for meaning like I'm hot at you. I'm not hot at you.
Verbs and adjectives associated with the color black in Coptic does not hold, since an identical vocalization is attested for another feminine noun derived from an adjective.
So you got that right. You got that right, that we got more attestation to show that there's an E right there, and they didn't just throw that in there.
Egypt through this process. Fuma's argument relating to the different vocalization of the name of Egypt and of the verbs and adjectives associated with the color black in Coptic does not hold, since an identical vocalization is attested for another feminine noun derived from an adjective in Pharaonic Egyptian. The evidence of pre-Coptic Egyptian. We are more likely to be in the presence of a word from another grammatical category.
No, I wasn't talking about getting kinetic energy out of here, but you're free to go. But if you can't take my critiques.
Category derived from the root, km. If the hypothesis of kmt deriving from an adjective was true, one could expect a *chem, xem form as a masculine adjective and *chem, zemi as a feminine adjective, which we do not have. However, we find the Greek transcription Orchamus of the Egyptian Theon Amawa p3 kilometers, Horus the Black, or black, kilometer is transcribed by zem, which confirms the existence of an adjective chem.
I don't care, Gina. While I'm streaming, talk about this, they can talk about that later, or go watch that shit, because all it's gonna do is make people watching me want to go do that. Come on now, y'all know that's the truth.
XEM in pre-Coptic.
Am I crazy? But anyway.
Weisichel, 1984-81, who noted this fact, reports that this vocalization, which did not survive for the root, km, survived for other Pharaonic adjectives in Coptic. This is the case with the name of WB, a type of ancient Egyptian priest whose name was derived from the adjective WB, pure, and which in Coptic gave, weeb, in Sadic and, web, in Bohairic. Another argument confirming this fact comes from the testimony of the Latin-speaking Greek writer Plutarch, who lived during the first 2 centuries of the Christian era. In chapter 33 of his work Isis and Osiris, Plutarch explains in these terms the meaning of the name of the country of the ancient Egyptians in the language of the latter. In addition, we name Egypt, because its lands are black among all, like the black of the eye, Chemia. In this sentence, Plutarch teaches us that the name of Egypt was Chemia, which strongly resembles the Bohairic form of the term, which as we have seen is, Zemi. We also learn from this text that in Plutarch's time, ancient Egyptians considered that the name of their country, Zemi, was linked to the black color, more precisely the color of the earth in this country, described as the blackest among all. Interestingly, this connection was also made, according to the author, through the relation between the name of Egypt and the black of the eye, that is to say the pupil. Why this reference to this, black, reality rather than to another? Because there was, in hieroglyphic Egyptian, a word kmt derived from the root kilometer, black, meaning, the pupil. Like the name of Egypt, because it was derived from the root km, black, it could only have been a nominalized adjective. Plutarch and his Egyptian informants' reference to the black eye rather than hair or some other black reality was motivated by the fact that the 2 terms were perfect homophones, which
And notice that Plutarch them did not reference to the black soil.
One might have expected since they both were nominalized feminine.
Nah, remember earlier I said, hey, let me stop and say something real quick. Then I said, nah, I'm not going to stop and say something. See, I should have just said something the first time because I wouldn't have blew up. So you don't never need to hold nothing in. So I held it in, and then I seen cats were still doing it, and then that's why you don't hold nothing in.
And gender adjectives. We therefore have an additional argument for the vocalization of adjectives formed from kilometer, black, with a, e, in pre-Coptic, and therefore the formation of the name of Egypt through this process.
So how come I could just show y'all the PhD linguists say, hold up, we do got a source on the E in the Kemet, and then all the talk about it just stop all of a sudden?
Fuma's argument relating to the different vocalization of the name of Egypt and of the verbs and adjectives associated with the color black in Coptic does not hold, since an identical vocalization is attested for another feminine noun derived from an adjective in Pharaonic Egyptian.
And the scammers be like, no refunds during Mercury retrograde. I seen that on the commercial last night. I started laughing, hell of a laugh. Oh yeah, I'm still dealing with dude. This is my normal morning show, Metatron. So if you watch this video, I really ain't like, I just do this all the time. I ain't like make nothing for you all the way. But here go the biggest errors, and then we're gonna get up out of here.
If we really want to be precise, then the correct and most likely pronunciation in ancient Egyptian, specifically in classical Egyptian, is Kumat.
What? Man, if you don't shut that up.
Kumatu. Nominative.
Now he on YouTube telling people this is the you know, he got something to that I'm not minding, but he didn't arrive at it right. What I mean is he arrived at it by using this E and this U. He messed that up. But there are etymons in other languages, African languages, where it's kum. So I'm not discrediting him fully for that, but he arrived at this by bad methodology. Yeah, he came close. No, he not right, but he did come close. I just showed you how a PhD showed you that it's an E in there. And he don't got no E in here. So I'm not just gonna take him. But I do know, if I can show y'all some linguistics on this, some etymology in the Semitic languages, we will find like 4 etymons that have a ku, talking about blackness. But you'll also find them that have a ka. And so, you know, y'all know how we do. No, shit, trying to make my views go down.
Nominative. Kumat.
I'm just playing. He was supporting me. I didn't mean for him to get offended by me snapping, but come on, man. You got to know when to be game tight. Don't go on nobody video talking about what's happening on another YouTube page.
Accusative, and kumati, oblique genitive. Now let's discuss this hieroglyphic inscription that you present as evidence that Kemet or Kumat.
Now this is what he really about to mess up, because he's going to try to do Medu Neter, and this is why I'm going to end the video on this gross display of Medu Neter.
In fact meant land of the black, according to you.
So, Kemet, the black land or the land of the blacks? Does it apply to the people or to the land? Probably the fertile soil, and also very likely by extension to the skin color of the originators of those words. Yes, you can translate it to the black land, and as scholars agree, it refers to the fertile soil. The Job found a place where Kemet was followed by a man and a woman sitting and 3 dots. So you take Kemet, which means the black, plus people, literally it means the black people.
We have Kemet followed by a man and a woman sitting with 3 dots. This is the determinative meaning humanity, but to you it must mean black people. First of all, the adjectival noun in plural form, Kemetiu, just means Egyptians.
See, he messing up. He like Brother Polite. He's overwhelmed with new information that he has not let marinate. He's not familiar with the information. He's like repeating things that people told him, and I'm about to break this all down and show you how pseudo this dude is.
Where Kemet was followed by a man and a woman sitting and 3 dots. So you take Kemet, which means the black, plus people, literally it means the black people.
We have Kemet followed by a man and a woman sitting with 3 dots. This is the determinative meaning humanity, but to you it must mean...
See, there you go, stop. He said that this is a determinative meaning humanity. What are you talking about? Did you read that out of something somebody told you? Because it's close to right, but I'm just going to prove to you how it's wrong.
You take Kemet, which means the black, plus people. Literally, it means the black people.
We have Kemet followed by a man and a woman sitting with 3 dots. This is the determinative meaning humanity, but to you it must mean black people. First of all, the adjectival noun in plural form, Kemetiu, just means Egyptians.
No, it doesn't. Kemetinu does not just mean Egyptians. Shut that shit up. Etymologically break down the term Kemetiu and show me how it means Egyptians. I'm about to put Kemetiu on the screen, and you can show me then how it means Egyptians. So I'm about to put it on the screen. Here it is, Kemetiu on the screen. But you probably ain't familiar with it in this form. What part of this says Egypt? Does this part say Egypt, or does this part, or does this part? Because this part says black. This part says TU, which is a collective, representing a collective. And this is a 049 glyph, is the determinative for crossroads, a polity, a city situation. This ain't even used for a national situation. So when they be trying to say that this means the whole country, show me instances where they talking about other countries and they use this X. This X is always for small little gnomes, cities, or what have you. But my question is, what part of this word translates etymologically to Egyptians?
Kemet or Kumat just means black land, not.
So now he qualified how to pronounce Kemet in his own work, and he's using that pronunciation. Just like a Sar Imhotep. But the scholars, you can't use that. You can't use that way. Kemetiu were there before Egyptians were a thing. Thank you. There was no Greeks to ever mistranslate Hukapata and to say, oh, Egyptos in their work to create this thing called the Egyptians. The natives never called themselves Egyptians.
The land of the black, as opposed to the red land of the desert. The thing is, though, that if this means black land, and this is people, why can it not be then black people? Well, this is an answer that you don't need an Egyptologist or a fully qualified
See, there you go again with his rhetorical vice. Every time he wants you to think that something so simple, and I'm about to prove his error here in his erroneous correction. He goes back to this rhetorical device of making you think you don't really need to be studied. Listen.
Of the black, as opposed to the red land of the desert. The thing is, though, that if this means black land, and this is people, why can it not be then black people? Well, this is an answer that you don't need an Egyptologist or a fully qualified linguist, you just need a first-year student.
That's not true. Whichever first-year student you refer to got you on YouTube with bad information.
To answer. Differently from...
Listen to this, y'all. Now, I know all of my people who've been watching this show is going to be able to identify just how grossly wrong he about to be here.
Black land, and this is people, why can it not be then black people? Well, this is an answer that you don't need an Egyptologist or a fully qualified linguist, you just need a first-year student to answer. Differently from English, in Egyptian, the adjective goes after the noun. It is in predicative form, not in attributive form. So in this language, it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they want...
Oh my God, now what mistake did he make here, y'all? This is laughable. Come on, before he take this video down.
Differently from English, in Egyptian, the adjective goes after the noun.
This fool said the adjective goes after the noun. So I guess he thinks determinatives are nouns. Wow. This guy does not know there's only one word on the screen. Seriously. He thinks that even his fake Egyptologist partner or his two linguists would tell him that there are two words on the screen. There's only one word on the screen which he has circled. The other icons are determinatives that help you determine the category of the word. Well, listen to what he says.
Goes after the noun. It is in predicative form, not in attributive form. So in this language it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they wanted to say black people...
He really think... I know your Egyptologist homie gonna be laughing at this part. You thought that you pronounced determinatives? Oh my God. And so you're telling people here that these determinatives are a noun? Bruh. You know you didn't fuck it up, don't you? You know you didn't fuck it up, don't you? You just showed that not only you, but whoever your imaginary Egyptologist is and your quasi-pseudo-linguist is, they don't even know what they're talking about. And everybody who watched my show, as you see in the chat, know this error that you're trying to say, well, if this grammar was right, the noun's supposed to be before the adjective. Huh? Oh my God.
Form, not in attributive form. So in this language it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they wanted to say black people, they would write it the other way around.
So they actually said black, and then they showed you the category that the term should be in. And the category is of a collective. But the scholars just say that blackness isn't a part of the collective. They're saying that blackness was where the collective lived, on the black soil. Nevertheless, you so wrong that you shouldn't even be trying to act like being a liberalist hippie is teaching somebody something on YouTube. You don't know what you're talking about.
This language, it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they wanted to say black people...
I'm not challenging dude because he act like you gotta conform to him. Because he think I got the most views on the subject, so you want to talk about it. You're going to talk about it with me like this. Now, how about I just put it up there on YouTube and let all the people who need to know right information find my video? I ain't trying to discourse. I told you, look at dude. Like, why would I, dude?
You don't need an Egyptologist or a fully qualified linguist. You just need a first-year student to answer. Differently from English, in Egyptian...
So which first-year student told you this?
Egyptian, the adjective goes after the noun. It is in predicative form, not in attributive form. So in this...
See, the problem, if y'all don't understand, all we have, it even says it on the dang screen, a proper noun. He didn't even read. He said he don't use wiki. Oh man, all this stuff is happening at once. He tried to say he don't use wiki. Here we got him in contempt. You trying to tell me this edit word with this proper noun is on any place else than from wiki? Hold on, y'all. In the same video, he said he don't use wiki. Bro, we put together enough slides to know. I know you do not know how to operate the apps. Okay, that's fine. So he went to his other dude's slide. I was about to say. That's cool. He get credit for that. That he didn't make this slide. But look, he didn't read it good because the slide says proper noun, correct? I'm glad that I'll give him credit. He didn't make this slide. He's critiquing it. But look, the slide says that this is a proper noun. He thought that this in circle was an adjective and that this over here is the noun, as he gonna do.
This language, it makes no sense to say first black and then men and women. If they wanted to say black people, they would write it the other way around. People black. And it just so happens that my language, Italian, functions the exact same way. In the majority of cases, the adjective follows the noun.
Oh, you mean kind of like this? Do I gotta just beat you up with sources? Oh, do you mean kind of like on this slide here from Carol Andrews, British Museum, Demotic Papyri, what is it, 10390? You mean like this? Metatron? Mr. Super, wasn't no black people there, I ain't racist? Go have a drink. Do it have to appear like this? Remech, people, that's a word for people. Remech. Kim, that's a word for black. Isn't the adjective after the noun? Let's read what Carol A. Andrews said about British Papyrus, British Museum 10390. This is suggested because Papyrus BM 10390 is one of those extremely rare demotic texts which records the age and physical characteristics of one of the contractors, a feature far more common in Greek texts. Pa Nikati is said to be a black man. Remech Kemet. He's sitting here talking about
women. If they wanted to say black people, they would write it the other way around. People black. And it just
didn't I just show you that?
So happens that my language, Italian, functions the exact same way. In the majority of cases, the adjective...
This is how you look like a complete fool to what you're doing right now. So you gonna act like you ain't seen this and everything.
It follows the noun. It's after the noun and it will make...
But I tagged you in it. So YouTube show you every video that you get tagged in. So you gonna act like it wasn't worth your while.
No sense to say, in fact, just like in English, black people. The ancient Egyptians would have said people black, but they don't.
Well, I just showed you they do. I just literally showed you. Well, you're not looking, obviously. Like I'm acting like you're sitting here with me. But, you know, nah, you so wrong and you so pompous. You don't even seem like the type of dude I can have a drink with. I'm just going to keep it a buck. You just know you right. But I'm proving how unstudied you are. You could find this anywhere. I found it. So how come you don't know this, but I got this already? Remech Kim, you sitting there talking about if they wanted to talk about black people, there wasn't no black people, they would have put the adjective after the noun. Well, here you have it. 2 demotic papyrus.
When
along with a long list of other things, but let's keep going.
When you say this means black people, you're not doing linguistics. You're doing politics.
That was the end of that, bro? That's not true. When you say that this means black people, you're not doing linguistics, you're doing politics. Well, in case you don't know, these glyphs can be represented, phenotypically, and they can be represented by the TU. Some will argue that they can't. I will prove that they can. Let's go into Thesaurus Linguis Egypti, where we're going to look at every dictionary entry that bears, in the word bush, every dictionary entry, and you're going to learn something that bears, first of all, this is A1, B1, and Z2. These are the codes, the Gardner codes, if you want to pull up this man, woman, and these 3 strokes. Now notice, first of all, you're going to find that it's a word for humanity that has these 3 strokes on it, which lets you know the 3 strokes don't mean humanity. Let's watch this. And I'll give you plenty of other instances that people just don't know what they're talking about. It will mean people in a lot of instances, but you can't overdo it. Let me show you what I mean. So I'm gonna go to a few of the terms, right? What does this mean? This means a placenta. Yeah, I'm not mad at mixed Egypt. I know that Egypt became mixed over history, but people keep misrepresenting the black African in talking about it. The founder of Egypt, Mut Remech. It translates back to the mother of people. But guess what it really is? A placenta. See? So if you thought that this has something to do with like humanity in that sense, where you can say, yeah, well, placentas have something to do with humanity. But no, this is specifically talking about a placenta. A uterus. They ain't talking about humanity. They really want talking about a physical uterus. But what do they use over here? The two women, the man, the woman, and the three strokes. Right? Now let's keep going. Because you can look at this. I'll be like, people don't know what they're talking about. But I'll be saying people don't know what they're talking about because I'll be looking at this stuff all the time. You tell me if this is people right here. Huh? Is this humanity, yes or no? What do you see over here? Two people and three strokes. So if you think you know everything about the ancient Egyptian language when you talk about you got two linguists and a first year Egyptologist, you basically snitched on yourself and said all you got to do is ask a first year Egyptologist, but that's all you did. That's the only way you can be this wrong. Now, again, this is an epithet of the sun god. Neket Remechu. Does that mean humanity? Yes or no? It don't got nothing to do with humanity. Now, here we got Remech, and they say that means Egyptians. But if you look over here, you're going to actually have not Remech 2. You're going to have, well, they could call that 2, but they're pronouncing this W. Cool, Remech 2. I'm not mad at that. Egyptians. What we're looking for is the instances that I just want you to see to where, okay, if it's an epithet for the sun god, that don't got nothing to do with humanity in that. It's there because the sun gonna touch everybody. I would presume. I don't want to say that's that. And I'll get ready to end this. Look, all my videos is 3 hours. They're not made to get hella views for the quick discourse. They're made for the people who want a little bit more in-depth on the subject. I go to the same sources all the time. Thesaurus Lingua Egypti. Anybody can check this stuff in here. Here is a term for all people. This is what I'm trying to teach y'all. If this is a term for all people, hor neb, then this determinative don't mean all people by itself. You see what I mean? You got to state hor neb before that. See, because this is just the office of distribution of people, a labor office. So if you thought that this meant all of humanity, you'd be wrong. Taxpayers, they're different collectives. So actually, scholars say that this is indicative of a collective. Well, we're going to keep on going. Roommates, members of the house, relatives, obviously they all are people. They all are humans, but I'm showing you don't limit it. Because here they're just simply talking about a quantity. You see? A quantity. It ain't got to even be a quantity of people. But we could look into it to see. This is a personal reference. Delta inhabitants, everything, human. Now, this is what I wanted to focus on. If there is a term for humanity, Timim and Timu, well, then that lets you know that when you want to say humanity, you say Timim and you put these glyphs. So that means that the other times you using them, you don't got to be talking about all of humanity. Right here, you just talking about serfs. You clearly just talking about servants at that point in time. In this point in time, you're talking about ancestors. We could go to the first page. It's going to be a few other ones. But now right here, this I bet is family. That's the word for family. It's working right. But this ain't. That's a personal name, but it got something to do with shining and stuff. Rising, but never mind. And Carew. But what I want you to get is the use of these determinatives. Now, let's go right here. These are the inhabitants of the land of Wawat. But you see, look, what do you see here? This says Wa-Wa-E-U. It says Wa-Wa-E-U, right? But this has a TU in transliteration. TJW, remember this. After the period, you see TJW, because my point is, there's no TU bird on this word, inhabitants of Wawat, Wawatiyu. The TU is coming from A1, B1, and Z2 used in conjunction. These three together is the same as a TU bird, as I can show you in this presentation. A TU bird is the short, and I can give you sources on that real quick. A TU bird is the short way to write out those glyphs. And it says it right here. In Egyptian, Nisba adjectives have the same characteristic. Well, no, this ain't the one. It's the next one. Right here. As the above writings indicate, the formative Y is never written out in the feminines, and the semi-vowel Y and W are also elsewhere usually suppressed. For reasons of practical convenience, the less correct transliteration given in brackets are to be preferred as a rule. The Y of the masculine singular is often, but by no means always, written out, and as regards to the masculine plural, the Latin presence of the semivowel is betrayed by the use of the sound sign TU. It says in derivatives from feminine nouns and from noun words ending in T, but I don't think that proves it all the way. Let me show you one more slide that will prove it all the way. Just 1 second. Here we go. In nouns ending in T, either as a root letter or as a feminine ending, the masculine TU, T, Y, W, is usually written with the sign TU. The sign is distinguished from the A by the means of the rounded head in contrast. So we can have a TU bar here that will show a singular. Well, normally it could be feminine or false feminine. It's going to be a singular nisba with plurality. This is just going to constitute what they call, in one word, a collective. A singular nisba of plurality is collective, a collective. The only way you can have singular plurality is like when you say the Raiders. When you say the Raiders, you got singular plurality, and you also form the nisba off of the term raid. To raid is an action. To make a person who raids is forming a nisbah. That is a raider. When you say the raiders, you're saying a singular, plural. This is a collective. So this indicates a collective term the same way that these three indicate a collective. So you see that these are collectives. They're not always humanity, as I pointed it out earlier, by showing instances where you couldn't say that that's what that was. And so we see few things we learn here, that this TU, which is normally indicated by the TU bird, is also indicated by A1, B1, and Z3, which is this man, this woman, and these three strokes. Which means that Kemet TU, as a collective, with black being the root, is actually a thing. So now I'm going to show you one and I'm going to get up out of here. I need to go eat. Let me put this up for anybody who's happy that I did this video, who want to buy me lunch. I'm going to put this up for you. First of all, I'm going to tap in with y'all like this. What's up? You know how we do. Thanks for coming and watching the video. Thanks for helping it get to where it got. Shout out to everybody who supported. Oh, okay. So J Mill argued that the sound might be coming from the throat stick. Now you know damn well that the throat stick ain't a TU, but I'm gonna let you have that error. You should erase that because you ain't never messed up that much. You know the throat stick ain't a TU. Then what's the throat stick? In my head, in my memory, the throat stick ain't the TU though. But let's go look and see if I can just show you on the screen. But thanks for showing that, J Mill. So here's a throat stick and there's a TU, but here's one that don't got a TU with the throat stick. Now let's find out if all the TUs got a throat stick. That's a TU with a throat stick. And so there's a lot of TUs, right? But that ain't what I searched. And here I searched A1, B1, Z3. So if we go search TU, we can find it. But you said in the instance where the TU pops up is always a throat stick, where we can see, I mean, that's what you're asking. So we can see if that's the case. And those two instances seem to line up with throat sticks. But the real investigation got to be done with G4 instead of A1, B1, and Z2. So if we come down to G4, that's going to be the TU bird. And we'll look at instances, I mean, none of these instances ever. Oh, but is there ever an instance with the TU bird with the people too? Look, here go one right here. This is good. But I'm going to end this video so it won't be too long. But here's one instance with the TU bird and the man in three strokes of plurality, which is true. But it didn't have a throat stick either. But I switched over here to come to see if they are lining up throat sticks with this, which they are not. Hold on, I gotta see what you're talking about. I know when cats is learning, so y'all gotta learn. When you a student, you gotta learn a better way to ask your questions besides acting like it's a contention. You feel me? That's play it out. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just ask the question, man. So Kasati, it does have a TU bird, but I'm trying to look through any of these to see if they use that TU bird with the two people and stuff. Then I'm gonna get up out of here. I'm gonna let Metatron do his last little thing. I hope you didn't take my insults to heart.
Around people black, and it just so happens that my language, Italian, functions the exact same way. In the majority of cases, the adjective follows the noun. It's after the noun, and it will make no sense to say, in fact, just like in English, black people. The ancient Egyptians...
So y'all see how bad he messed that one up? It was crazy. Oh, y'all not even watching him. Y'all watching me. Hold on, let me fix it. Y'all see how bad he messed that one up? It was crazy.
...would have said people black, but they don't. When you say...
I just showed y'all they do, actually. But Nehesi doesn't have a Nehesi TU. I tripped off that too. Nehesi ends in Nehesi U. Shout out to Dahudi.
Say this means black people, you're not doing linguistics. You're doing politics.
All right, now here go the last little thing. Hold on, though. That's wifey. Hold on. I gotta mute that out. Mute that out. Hey, okay, cool. Well, I'm about to get up out of here. So now this tan argument is mad crazy.
We can both agree with the fact that when we look at artistic representation, men tend to have in general a darker
What are you talking about?
skin tone, and women tend to have a lighter skin tone. And of course, there are the occasional...
That's just not true, man. People try to make that seem like that's true, but that's because of the way that museums present the evidence to you. Like, I could take y'all in the hella tombs, and I'm always going to cite a source. Go to the rock tombs of Mier. Ain't nobody light-skinned in them tombs, men or women. Go to the rock tombs of Mier, nobody light-skinned in them tombs. Go to...
We both agree with the fact that when we look at
Ashayet's coffin text, and the light-skinned woman is her homegirl named Abet, but the majority of women, even though it's only 3 or 4 of them, in her coffin text are dark-skinned like Nubians. So you can't look at what Egyptology presented you with and then say the majority of something was that way.
artistic representation, men tend to have in general a darker skin tone, and women tend to have a lighter skin tone. And of course, there are the occasional men that have more of a yellow skin tone, but in the majority of cases, we could say that those are eunuchs.
Oh my God, I forgot. I need to end this video now. I forgot how bad this was. He just said that the ancient Egyptian men written yellow on the wall, if they draw with a yellow skin tone, that they're eunuchs, dog. Did y'all really hear that?
When we look at artistic representation, men tend to have in general a darker skin tone, and women tend to have a lighter skin tone. And of course, there are the occasional men that have more of a yellow skin tone, but in the majority of cases, we could say that those are eunuchs.
Blood, you don't know what you're talking about. It wasn't no ancient Egyptian eunuchs. Bruh, if you think there was an ancient Egyptian eunuch, give me the term for eunuch in the ancient Egyptian. They might try to give you that, but I'm going to tell you that it ain't. I'm going to be fair to you right now and search it in a dictionary. All right? They might, see, they trying to give you that. So this is what I'm trying to say. A eunuch right here, they saying is represented by a castrated person. So they calling it a eunuch. But let's go over this clearly. A eunuch is coming from one particular type of a culture where you get castrated in order to guard the harem. Now, if the name of a castrated person, which I would want to look all the way into this. If the name of a castrated person was the person, if a castrated person is depicted by being painted yellow in ancient Egyptian, then I would have to concede that. But I ain't never heard nothing about that. And as far as eunuchs are concerned, where you get castrated to watch over the harem, that ain't Egyptian culture. And so I could prove that by doing this. This is what you do. You don't stop at a dictionary, Metatron. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this text and look at it, how it was used in primary text. by using the lemma SXTI, I think I said, because it said SXH. So I'm going to transliterate it over. XHTI to get this castrated person. And let's see if this really equates to a eunuch. If it does, then that's cool. But from what I understood, I didn't think that tradition, I'm going to use a J right here. I didn't think the tradition of castrating a man in order for him to watch over your harem, I didn't think that was an Egyptian tradition. So we about to see what's up with this term. Now I'm going to the root of the term, and we're going to see if it ever unveils itself. See, so look, I'm telling you right now, this is coming from this root. Look, to cut, to destroy, right? SXT, but I got to see how they getting this out of that. To be fair, I'm just going to go like this. See if the TLA say it. All right, they got the same exact word. So that means we could scrutinize the term. Let me make the screen bigger. Man, I don't care who it is. If they out there screaming at, you know, Egyptians wasn't black, that's why they got bodied last time. Remember. Y'all don't remember when cats be getting greasy, how Smash show up and turn up? I had cats over there tripping. Let me see. Now, this statement's about a eunuch, supposedly from the Pyramid of Pepi. It says, "You eunuch there, oh, you man there, one who you had two hastens," huh? One of you two hastens. You who belong to that first body of punishment and justification, which was born before anger arose, which was born before strife arose, which was born before strife arose. I would not be able to know what these people's job positions was from that type of a text. And they say, it says here, for the castrated man had made a demand for him that the possessions of Geb should be increased for him. Well, I will read into this to see if this has anything. It's a mythological handbook for Upper Egyptian regions. I will lead into that, but I don't know that a eunuchs to be actually ancient Egyptian culture.
So let's talk about this difference between men and women when it comes to skin tone in Egyptian art.
But I ain't even tripping because you messed that all up too, and my video went way long. I will recommend a book. No.
My
because I can't think of it.
interpretation is the fact that it's possible that in general the population had a bit of a lighter skin tone. They weren't white, but they had a lighter skin tone, and then this skin tone becomes darker.
But why are you just pulling stuff out of thin air, bruh?
That it's possible that in general the population had a bit of a lighter skin tone. They weren't white, but they had a...
Well, where did you get that from? How are you just saying this? Are you judging by the iconography? Are you judging by what they called themselves? If we want to be fair, the color they drew themselves on the wall wasn't black. It was a brownish color. So I'm trying to get, where are you getting this? They were light-skinned from. They were light.
Both agree with the fact that when we look at artistic representation, men tend to have in general a darker skin tone and women tend to have a lighter skin tone. And of course there are the occasional men that have more of a yellow skin tone, but in the majority of cases we could say that those are eunuchs. So let's talk about this difference between men and women when it comes to skin.
So he said eunuchs had a lighter skin tone. This is crazy.
Skin tone in Egyptian art. My interpretation is the fact that it's possible that in general the population had a bit of a lighter skin tone. They weren't white, but they had a lighter skin tone, and then this skin tone becomes darker because men tend to work the fields, whereas women don't.
Oh my God. So this guy really think humans start outdoors. And he even think that you could stay inside. In prehistoric times, you could stay inside enough to avoid the sun. Don't you know how hot it's going to be with no air circulating, bruh? You just off the hook.
To you, specifically, this is a fantasy. The intellectually honest answer to this is that more evidence is required to be deemed conclusive.
No, it's not. The intellectually honest answer is almost 80% of the icons that we see coming from Egypt is painted in a dark brown. No, not dark brown. Y'all want to call it reddish brown. Call it reddish brown. It's nothing that you could call white or light.
These are theories, since you are the one who said that it's important to...
Look, every ancient Egyptian drew themselves, the average ancient Egyptian drew themselves in a reddish brown hue that is closer to the way my face is looking on the camera and further than it is to the hand on the screen. Tell me I'm lying. The ancient Egyptians drew themselves in a hue that would be considered closer to the way my face is looking on this screen than it is to the hand on the screen. Because we could go look at the reddish brown right now and see, is it closer to that or closer to this? So this wasn't worth I gave it 4 hours, but this is just what I do with all my builds.
To evaluate and present both sides.
So please judge properly.
And so I'm done. I'm about to go eat. Shout out to y'all, all the contributors to the channel. Shout out to whoever bought my lunch for the day. Oh, somebody brought, it was the Black Raven, put up a 50 pop. God, let me say shout out to a few more people. Gotta give them shout outs. Shout out Robert, shout out Corey, shout out Isaiah, shout out Yazur, shout out Anointed Sadat for hitting the cash out. Cause it be stuff on YouTube, and y'all, and my candle's still lit this whole time. It be stuff on YouTube, and y'all be thinking that these people is credible. But they just a YouTuber talking, bro. And on that note, I'm out. I might be back later. Thanks for watching the stream. And again, thanks for the cash apps. Let me put it up for some more people. Y'all some bosses. Y'all did good today. I'm going to be back quick, fast, in a hurry. Don't worry. Because when you feel appreciated, and when people go through their thing and give you that token of their appreciation, it make you feel good, man. Can't lie, man. It make you feel good. So if y'all ain't got enough, first of all, the biggest error he made was thinking that A1, B1, and Z2 was a noun. And then he argued from that point that the adjective is supposed to be after the noun, just like my language. He actually said, I'm Mediterranean. He said in that video that Egypt faces the Mediterranean, y'all. He did not know about the orientation of Egypt, and that boy literally said that my man turned the map upside down to put Europe on top. All right, thank y'all for tapping in. Thanks for everything. I'm gone. And that was for you, Metatron. Peace, peace, peace. No, I'm just going to say, I just ain't like, look, I'm just not one of y'all try to act funny, scholastic. But I ain't got no problem with you speaking your mind on your opinion. There's a lot of other people who don't think the ancient Egyptians were black, and there's a lot who do. So, you know, it's not just Afrocentrist. As a matter of fact, Christopher Eric is not an Afrocentrist. Maria Gatto is not an Afrocentrist. Aaron DeSocia is not an Afrocentrist. We could say Rebecca Fruto Kennedy is not an Afrocentrist. We can say, what's her name? I forgot her name. None of these modern Egyptologists, Kate Liska, none of these modern Egyptologists doing this work could be considered Afrocentrists, who are saying that the ancient Egyptians were black, for lack of a better term, by physical appearance, not by social construct. Thank y'all for watching.